Hello, everyone. It's episode 49. Yes, and welcome, Delboy. Welcome to
Hello.
our wonderful chat. Next week, of course, it's 50. So we'll have a little celebration, but we won't go over top. So what I've decided to do, we're going to do like a little sort of James Bond thing. As if we were in the pub talking about James Bond. Do that for a bit and then carry on from that. So if anything you want next week, just join in questions or just tell us about anything connected with James Bond. But anyway, I'll get on to today's. So I normally ask this question and you just explain everything that that's going on. Delby, I always say, how's your mum, and what have you been watching, if anything?
Yeah. It's been a sort of like a bit of a difficult time, but my mum came out on Sunday after my blog. And since then, we've had the occupational health out telling us sort of how it's going to be. And we get a nurse out 4 times a day. We've got a commode and we've got a Zimmer frame. I'm doing a lot of washing and ironing and cooking the dinners and making cups of tea. So generally, it's still early in the evening at the moment. So I'll go and check her at about 8:30 and then check her again at 9 o'clock. And then have to get her into bed, if you see what I mean. So it might be a bit disruptive at the beginning, Ian.
Yeah, that's all right.
But that's just because that's the nature of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But she's in good spirits. It's just that she doesn't really know how to use the lanyard. I've given her a lanyard which goes to this door chime type thing that tells me if she needs any help. But my mum's a very proud person, so she either doesn't know what it's for or I don't need any help. See what I mean? She still thinks she can go upstairs to bed and she can't. It's that sort of thing. And we haven't got a baby gate, to the stairs. So of course she could easily turn left and go up the stairs by herself and fall backwards and all sorts of stuff there. But it's meant that I haven't watched an awful lot. I've been watching bits and bobs of TV as and when I can. I've watched the Daredevil thing. Rewind TV shows that TV show Thriller, which I really like. And and I started showing Space 1999.
Oh wow, that's all right.
Believe it or not. Yeah. But the one film I did watch was, I found this when I was going through all of my film collection. I watched this again, In Time.
Oh yeah,
which is sort of like a Logan's Run type thing. It's where people go to work and sort of like get credits, and if you can give your credits to somebody else, and he's got an elderly mother or something, well, not an elderly mother, but a mother, and is constantly trying to save her, because your arm constantly it's like a tattoo, and it constantly sort of like counts down. It's definitely a Logan's Run type film. So that I like watching that film. It's good.
Yeah.
The other TV series that came through as a steelbook is The Penguin, but I think everybody has seen The Penguin now as a steelbook that's come out. I mean, it's been going to everybody now that's ordered it. So it was a good TV show. We talked about it last week as one of the better ones. So that's really good. It comes on 3 discs. It's a steel book. It's not exactly the most imaginative cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's a French film, well, an English film that I bought from France as a steel book. It's Kevin Costner's Horizon.
Oh yeah, I've seen people talking about that. Yeah.
But I wanted the steel book of it, so that came from France.
A lot of people are
looking forward to that. It's like a 3-hour Western.
Yeah.
It's chapter 1. Apparently, it's taken about 3 years to get to the end of chapter 1.
Wow.
God knows when chapter 2's coming out.
Yeah. A labor of love.
Yeah, but the one I'm really looking at, the one that I really got excited about knowing, because I'd ordered the normal edition, was this French version of the Steelbook for The Substance.
Oh, what a film!
It's
Yeah,
really a nice cover. It's got a Perspex
yeah,
front to it.
yeah,
It's just really quite a nice look. There's a back picture of her, and then there's the other
yeah,
one, which is Demi
yeah.
Moore on the front.
Very
It's a
nice.
very
Yeah.
nice steel book, and the same price as the edition that's coming out over here. And over here,
Oh,
they haven't stated whether there's going to be a steel book of it.
wow.
So
Yeah,
so
you've
I'm
got
just
in
glad I
there.
got
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
And that's pretty much all that's arrived. And I've seen obviously the Substance at the cinema. I really liked it.
you did. Yeah, yeah,
I said when I saw it at the cinema, I thought it was a pretty good film. I thought it was probably a good contender for the film of the year at that point. Obviously we've had films after that since then.
yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't take away from it. I always thought at the beginning it came across like a Tales of the Unexpected
yes,
episode.
yeah, yeah,
A drug is given to somebody
yeah,
who's aiming. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I thought it was a
Um,
great film. It was just the ending just slightly spoiled it for me. I know it went all body horror. I didn't mind. I just got a bit silly, but I could forgive it for that. But that it was a good film. You can't fault her performance in it.
yeah.
A lot of people think she should have won an Oscar. I suspect.
Well, yeah, and like I
Yeah,
said, it's one of those ones,
yeah.
that I thought was was pretty good. And it got more horrified towards the end, and they even know it was pretty good at the Oscars because they did a parody of it. Whenever there's a parody of something, then you know that you're
That's
onto a pretty
good.
good of a winner,
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
But
that's all I really got. I mean, has anybody
yeah,
else seen it? Has anybody else got an opinion of it?
yeah, yeah,
That's what I'd like to know because I mean, I thought it was
yeah,
pretty good.
yeah.
So that's what I'd like to know now. The last thing I saw of yours, because I'm a little bit behind, Ian, is your Heretic review, which I
Yeah,
thought was very good.
yeah, I just brought that to remind. Yeah, I enjoyed that. This film, Heretic. I mean, it's one of those films that absolutely. I fell in love with. Like you do with some films. I've watched it. I don't know. I've seen it about 4 times now. I just absolutely love it. It's got so much in it, and I got enthusiastic with review. I even did the review a bit different from how I normally do it. I just let it all go out.
Yeah,
Absolutely wonderful film, Heretic. Well, I've just there it is, of course. I just love this. Yeah.
yeah.
So what else have I watched?
Now
Well, I'll tell you what I did.
that is coming. That is definitely coming as a steel book in this country. You see,
Oh, right.
which is why I haven't got my copy yet. You see.
Yeah. Now, what started me to order this? Firstly, I was looking online. I love old TV series because a lot of them get deleted very quickly. And I came across this. It's a German
Oh yeah.
version of Highlander. This is season 4.
Oh
I thought, oh, crikey. It's out of print, extremely expensive to get hold of. But it was a tenner. And I thought, oh, I'd love to have a representation. I used to love watching this series. So I bought it, and it's a German one. And then, of course, silly me realized, do you know what? I haven't got the original film. So I got the film at last. What a film. Do you know what the only thing that disappoints me, and it's maybe typical, is Sean Connery isn't really in it that much, is he? Really? He's not in it a great deal, even though he's got star billing. And I suppose that was a cash thing. And he just wanted the star billing for not doing a great deal of work. Apparently he's in the next one, which is the one that everybody says is not very good, Highlander 2. But I loved this film really suited me. I love the history and the concept, and then of course the TV series was able to develop all these things even more, and absolutely loved Islander. I'm surprised I already had it in my collection and seen it before, but so
Highlander is one of those films that I saw in the 80s when it first came out and thought,
yeah,
oh, this is good. And then I was so looking forward to the second film.
Yeah,
The Quickening.
Yeah,
and it was all of this. I don't know what it is. It's all of that ozone layer crap that was mixed in with it that I didn't like. You know, I mean, there he is. He's now an aging mortal. He's getting older. He's got all this makeup on, you know, to make him look like he's like 125 or something.
Yeah.
And there's this pink sort of like blancmange in the sky that he's done to protect the earth. And I thought, this is a bad story straight away. Where's the imagination gone? Because the first one was imaginative, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I
thought the TV series
in a way, I'm glad they made a TV series.
Yeah, TV series was good. I mean, it's a great concept that you can just keep running with, and that's what they did with TV series. You can build up mythology, but you've got so much you can do. It's fantastic. You could do all sorts.
I mean, it's got one of those iconic bands making a score to a film, if you see what I mean, with Queen, haven't you? I mean, you've got
actually, that's something I forgot, that Queen did music, didn't they, to Islander? Because I always think of Queen with Flash Gordon, and I forgot that they'd done Islander.
So what I was trying to get at was you've got a composer, and you've also got the music that's in it was exclusively to Queen, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
And that the last time that happened for me was like Flash Gordon, which again was Queen. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's probably not true. There's probably others like that, but to me, I was going, oh, they've hit the ground running twice now. That's Flash Gordon, and they've done it with Islander. Bloody hell. You know, because you know, it has actually got a score by a composer. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? So I really, really like that idea about it. And of course, this was at a time where if we're going to go to computer games, everything was a license. Everything was a license. You know, Ocean, a company that made computer games for all the 8-bits of the era. They had RoboCop as a license. They had Highlander as a license. They had, you know, everything was a license for a game. So, of course, there was a Highlander game. It was an atrocious game. But what I'm trying to say is, you not only could you watch the film, not only could you buy the sell-through, not only could you buy the album, you could buy the computer game. There was the book to read. There was the make it. You know, you see what I mean? I mean, the film was everywhere. There was sticker albums probably for it. There was just about there was just about every. You know, you couldn't turn around and not wipe your bum and see a Highlander. You know what I mean? So, you know, from that point of view, it was a magical time, because if that was your favorite film, it was everywhere. You know what I mean? But if I remember rightly, it didn't do very well at the cinema.
No,
it was a sell-through hit.
Yeah,
a bit like Back to the Future.
Yeah, and the video shops, you know, rental shops helped it, I think, a lot as well to build a big following, because now it's got a massive cult following, hasn't it? It's but it just shows you at the time how films. It's one of those films, again, we've had these questions before, films that weren't successes when they came out, but then they built up a success over time. There's quite a few, isn't there, really? Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to seeing Horizon.
Oh,
From what I've heard about it, apparently it's 3 hours long.
3 hours? Oh,
yeah. I haven't looked.
That's a long time.
I mean, Substance is my favorite Look in Steel book of the week.
Yeah.
It's 181 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Viddio shops, you know, rental shops helped it, I think, a lot as well to build a big following, because now it's got a massive cult following, hasn't it? It's yeah.
It's 180 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Now, before you say those favorite questions that I have a good laugh, yes, they're Tony's DVD spot.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
But wow, I've got to talk. Oh wait, sorry. Just before that, I want to mention this one because Jamie Muckman Movies is talking about this one.
Do you mind if I just go and check on my mum while you talk about your films? I don't mean to be
talk
rude.
about this one as well that Jamie mentioned. Jamie Muckman Movies. He might be and he might not be, but he mentioned this one. This is a Korean film. It's called The Age of Shadows. It's set in Korea in the 1920s when the Japanese were in control of it, because Japan, particularly after First World War, started to really expand its empire, and Korea was part of that empire that it took over and administrated powers over it. And this film is great because it's about the resistance to the occupation by Japan, and that there's traitors in it, and it's quite a thriller, really, working out what's going on, and because their aim is to do an assassination, blow up these, leading figures of the a part of the administration. So it's a really good story. I enjoyed it, and especially as the 1920s. Seeing the way people are, they're dressed, and the style you can see there with that look at the Japanese lady there in the sort of 20s style. It's just a great look at the 1920s that I've not seen before, and it's a period of history that perhaps isn't talked about a great deal, about how people forget that the Japanese Empire was going mad after First World War. It was just expanding, and of course they took control of China and all these Eastern things, and that's the British Empire suddenly started to wake up that the Japanese were becoming a threat to their interests. In fact, well before Germany was going, and of course the Great Fear was when both powers came together for British. But this has got a really nice 1920s feel to it. I really enjoyed that.
That's good.
And another film that you probably, there's two films here. I'll do a comedy one first. This one, No Sex Please, We're British.
Oh, yeah.
Ronnie Corbett's in this, and Ian Ogilvy as well in a comedy role. And it's funny. I couldn't stop laughing. It's silly. It's just totally silly. It's about this mistaken delivery of all these books, and they're all sort of porn books. And Ronnie Corbett's it's a farce. He's trying to get rid of these books. He's frightened of everybody, the police and everybody finding out about him. It is a very British comedy. And there's people like Arthur Lowe in it, Beryl Reid, and I say Ronnie Corbett is just fantastic. He never changes, does he, Ronnie Corbett? Ronnie Corbett is the same in here as he is now. Oh, sorry, he's died, hasn't he? But as he was right to the end. He's not dead. Well, you never know. It could be a zombie version going around. But yeah,
I think you mean to say at that particular time he's the same as he is in all his skits.
We could have a zombie version.
Same as he is in all his skits with
zombies.
He's the same as he's always been in all his skits with Ronnie Barker. I think is what you mean.
He's tough. He just makes it. He's one of these people I just laugh at. I just laugh at him. He don't hardly have to do anything. I don't know. He's just one of them people. And then finally, I think this one people know a lot about as a film. Funnily enough, I've not seen this for years. It's Venom.
The snake one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oliver Reed's in it. Klaus Kinski, who apparently I was reading up on him. God, he was difficult. A lot of people were saying to work with. It doesn't surprise you. He was very difficult. He comes
Yeah.
across almost in films. You can see it. There was Sarah Miles, who's another good actress. Sarah Miles and Susan George as well in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It's just one of those films you can't help, but it's daft, but it's good, And you've got this snake running around, and then there's a siege going on. There's Klaus Kinski hamming it up, really. Look, he just wants his money and just doing it, I really enjoyed.
I do remember seeing it.
Yeah.
It's
It's just
a few years
enjoyable.
back now, but yeah.
It's popcorn stuff, they call it, don't they? It's just silly, but it's good. Let's see. That's all the films, and then I do my bit of music that you don't like, but I'll do it anyhow. So I've got two that I got this week through post. I got the Simon Garfunkel, which is really their first album, but it's not really because the other one is Tom and Jerry has been released. But this one, Sound of Silence, is good, and then. There's somebody on YouTube called Andy Edwards. He's a session drummer, and he talks a lot about music and philosophy. And I was fascinated by this. This is Songs from the Labyrinth by Sting, and he's doing this compositions by John Rowland that are based on his music, and it's all about the lute. I got absolutely fascinated about the history of this musical instrument, which is the first really stringed instrument. And it's a history, when people hear it, they think of the medieval sort of England, and it's got a very English feel. This is where I picked up from when they were talking about, the history of it. And it was just fascinating. The way Sting plays the songs. It's also on the Posh label, this gramophone one that Posh classical stuff's on. But I really enjoyed this, and it was good to hear about the history of that, because I don't understand music at all, really. I've not got the ears for music, but on the other hand, I just enjoy listening to it, and yeah, I think that's it. There you are. So,
hey, what?
We'll get on with the comments.
Yeah, so just apologies in behalf. The first sort of like hour of this is going to be a bit bitty for me because I'll have to keep going back and forth,
Yeah. Right. So the first question it's from Steve's Gaming. Hello, Steve. Hi, guys. I see that Ian hasn't updated Dell's blurry Lara's image yet. Haha, I can't do it. I've tried. I don't know. I can't do it.
No, you need what it is.
It takes me ages. I spend blooming ages doing it.
Ian. What it is, you need a picture from me that's high res for you to put it in high res. You can't do it from a video capture.
I fiddled about ages.
No, you need a picture from me direct.
Yeah. I need somebody to just. I'd rather somebody else do it almost and just leave me just to put the stuff in. I can't. I'm fiddling about ages. I spent bloody ages doing it, and I can't do it.
Ian, you're missing the point. You will never be able to make a low res picture high.
Yeah,
you could spend 6 hours.
Yeah, but anyhow, I'll do that. I can't do it. Yeah. I'd love somebody to just do it all again. Me and Dell just put us there and then just leave it. So all I have to do is put in, type in the text.
I'm still in awe. I'm still dead jealous that everybody's got a bloody intro and I haven't. So there you are.
Yeah, I'd love somebody to do an intro for him. If there's anybody willing to. But I can't. I'm sorry. I spend ages trying to do these things, and I'm hopeless at them. I admit I'm hopeless. I get annoyed with myself that I can't do it. I feel so thick and stupid. But yeah, I'm sorry that it's like that. I just do the best I can.
I think you do yourself a disservice in the fact that how can you do a good picture with just a video capture? The video captures low res. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So don't do yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
You need a proper picture to do it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I even have problems trying to get the writing straight, and I'm thinking it's not straight and it's not here, and I get and there's all these lines, and yeah. Anyhow, let's go to the next one. Stephen Mole says, "Hi, Ian and Delboy and everyone in the chat. I watched a good film today called Carjacked, starring Stephen Dorff as the bad guy who terrorizes a mother and son." Oh,
I'm trying to think of another film that Stephen Dorff's been in. I don't think I've seen Carjacked, but I've seen Stephen Dorff films, I think. But I can't think of one.
No.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that, Ian?
No, I've not seen that one. No. I like the premise. Sounds good. It's Daddy. But no, I've not seen that. So it's one to try and remember. Carjacked. Yeah. And then Sai says, "Evening gang, evening Sai, welcome."
He's doing that, look.
And then we've got Steve's Gaming. Ian and Dale, you're always telling us what films you like, so I'm turning that upside down. Both of you name 3 films you can't stand. And actually, this is interesting. I've just followed Sai's comment here. I bet Ian says 2001 as one of them. Well,
yeah, Rocky's probably the second one.
We'll see. Anyhow,
well, I keep saying can't stand is probably and hate is probably 2 bad things.
But ones that you don't care about.
I dislike them probably due to the point of disappointment. You know, where I was assured or I thought that it'd be better than it was, and it turned out to be not that way. So I came away disappointed. So, you know, I've mentioned Condor Man, haven't I? I've mentioned let's see. I just mentioned just now Highlander, The Quickening. I mean, what a disappointment the second film was compared to the first film. But then again, we could say that about a number of ones. Speed 2, I think a lot of people mentioned that one. That's Pete's favorite, and my one where I turn around and say, Carry On Columbus is bloody awful.
Oh yeah.
You know, I wouldn't give that any grace whatsoever. Carry On Columbus. I'll probably think of a couple more, but I've given 3 or 4 there. So you carry on and mention a couple now, and then I'll probably see if I can think of some more.
Now, this is a new angle, but I think it's worth thinking about, because we think of Stephen King as producing some of the great films, and he does. You know, his stories have been turned into some great films. I think there's one film that kind of disappoints me of Stephen King, and it's the one with the dog, Cujo. Is it Cujo? Where they're stuck in the car. Now, I've seen that a few times, and each time I watch it, I think actually it loses a lot. The more I watch it, the more disappointed I'd become by it, because what he's trying to convey in the film, you know, the terror of them being stuck inside that car with this awful dog that's, you know, a rabid dog, isn't it? I don't know. I just find it becomes more and more disappointing, and you know what's going to happen at the end. You know what, once you've seen it once. Even then, I remember not being particularly tense. You should have been sort of really, really tense how they're going to get out of all this. And, for a Stephen King story, because generally Stephen King stories are brilliant, aren't they? I mean, they do. He's made some great films, his stories, and that is a disappointment. So I would say that is one for me. Let's see.
Well, you've got your 2001, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, 2001. I mean, I could look into other films, but they're not in the same league of disappointment. I mean, everybody will say, "Oh, Star Trek V" and that, but on reflection, it's something I can sit and enjoy. So it's not like them films, you know. I can still sit and enjoy Star Trek V. I'm trying to think. I know. People might disagree with me on this one, but I think it's because it's too long. The Sting. The Sting was built up as such this wonderful piece of cinema. And yet, it is a build-up film. They have to set it all up, and you get involved in it, and it's very clever. And then we get at the ending. But after you've seen it once, you know, it's, to me, it's not very rewatchable. I'm looking at films also that are rewatchable, and I didn't really care that much at the end. You know, I thought, oh, that's a clever film, but that was it. And everybody at the time, the amount about people going on about the Sting, you know, before I saw it, I thought, oh God, this is going to be absolutely fantastic out of the way. I mean, the hype behind the Sting was just unbelievable at the time. It really was. And we had that musical soundtrack, of course. Everybody knew the music as much as the film. And yeah, the music's fantastic. But then you go and see the film and you think, this is an over-hyped film. You know, it probably won loads of Oscars, I think. I suspect it did. And I think it's really over much. But it's not answering the question. It's saying I can't stand. I mean, do you know that is a difficult question, Sir Katsan? There's only various films. I could point out films that I won't watch, that means it can't stand, which we've covered before, which is like Cannibal Holocaust.
I'll name a series of films that I don't like.
Yeah.
And that's Leprechaun.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That is a big series of terrible films, isn't it?
I just don't like that. I just don't like it one bit.
Yeah. I think I get you there.
I think from a comedy perspective, I didn't like. I think it's called Epic Movie. One of those parody type things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was a mismatch of just about everything, riding on the tales of Airplane and all of that. You see, I'll watch really bad films and think, well, that's all right, like Plan 9 from Outer Space. And I'll watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and all sorts of stuff.
He's trying. I think they're trying to say that you really can't stand, that you don't get anything out of. There's absolutely nothing.
Like I said, Leprechaun leaves me feeling pretty cold, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's the wrong term to say I can't stand 2001: Space Odyssey, but it is like that because, you know, I've tried so many times to get into it that the thought of has got to a point where now I'm not even going to bother anymore. I don't think I've given up. But can't stand. I mean, there are films I can't stand. As I said, Cannibal Holocaust, the scenes in that with the eating of the animals is off. The Serbian film is something that nobody should watch, and I wish I hadn't have seen bits of it. It's just disgusting. It shouldn't be there. Um, I can't think of any. I mean, there probably is other films that extreme films that, thank heavens, we don't know about that are not
Yeah.
mainstream. I know there is some extreme horror films. I have heard people. I've seen videos, people going through really extreme horror films, and you think, why would you want to watch them?
Yeah, but the thing about it is that there's a lot of films, you know, that I saw as watch-alongs that I totally get why it's actually quite fun to watch, you know, with a
Yeah.
group of people, because you know full well that the gore is there for
Oh yeah,
gore's sake,
this
right?
does. Yeah.
You know as well that nobody got hurt, and
Yeah.
it was all just blood gushing out of a
Yeah.
hose pipe or whatever it was, you
Yeah.
know.
Uh,
But then
uh,
there's films that,
like Cannibal Holocaust that you know
yeah,
were actual.
where you just
Yeah.
go, you just go, I'm glad it's on. I'm glad the film got made just purely to show how a film should never be made ever in its life and
Yeah.
never should
Yeah.
be again.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where that film fits in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I can understand why it was made in a way.
Yeah.
You know, that it was supposed to be a documentary
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
horror of
Yeah.
people that are actually in this world that are
Yeah.
still cannibals,
Yeah.
right?
And a
But
bit of found
there are
footage.
things there are
Found
things that you
footage
do
film.
not need to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I get. I
that
get. I get that.
could be left as implied. You don't
Yeah.
need to see it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because there have been plenty of cannibal films that haven't had that kind of things in it. You know, the cruelty.
why see something? Why see something that actually happened where you see the thing, the creatures in distress? That's sick,
Right.
really.
And just for a film, it's not as if they film. It's like a fight or something in nature. You know that people film that has just happened. There's nothing you can do about that. But this is stage stuff. This is deliberately done. The cruelty, and I think that is what is upsetting. That the fact that a film was deliberately doing that. It wasn't
Yeah,
staging nature. It wasn't like, say, there was a fight going on between a raccoon or a snake or some, thing that was nature. But this wasn't, was it? It was
nah.
done for a film. So I would say that film and the one I've said, the Serbian film.
Yeah, that's the one that you said. You don't even have to
Yeah,
mention
it
it to
is.
me,
I don't
because
think anybody should do it.
you
You
hope
almost don't want to talk
you hope
about
to
it.
God
Just
that I'd
mention,
never
don't watch it.
I'd never watch it. So
Never watch it. It's horrible. The subject matter is just horrible.
Yeah.
So that's we've tried to answer Steve's gaming, but it's as you can see, it's a difficult one. There isn't many.
Yeah, he's got well over 3 films each. I mean, for God's sake.
But there isn't many films, is there? Really, I don't think that we can put in that bracket.
Well, it's just
No.
I avoid them, but I don't say I can't stand them. But
Yeah.
They're ones that I avoid like the plague watching again, because I've seen them once and that was enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could say lots of rom-coms you're not going to be wanting to watch.
Yeah, that's how I'd point it out.
It doesn't mean that you can't stand them, I suppose. It's just that you're not interested. You don't want to watch
I'll tell
them.
you what, I'm not interested in watching another Herbie film, right? And yet,
yeah.
You know, it's only because how many times do I need to see a funny car? You know, I mean,
yeah.
It was all right when I was a kiddie. I'd show it if I had kids. I'd show it to them as a film to watch.
Yeah.
And go, oh, do you know what? I watched that as a kiddie. I've got no desire to watch it again.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a set of films that I'm not really interested in, that I never watched, that are very popular. Is it Fast and Furious? I'm not that interested in cars, like that. And there's the whole setup. But they are very, I suppose I could watch one and it'd pass a bit of time, but they're not something I particularly seek to want to watch. But they are very popular. And I think this is about 10 in there or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
I think they've gone beyond 10 now, actually.
Is there? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might not have, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I heard of Fast and Furious X or something.
Yeah. You wonder how far they can go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just a bit of news that I read this week, because I thought Saw X or Saw 10, whatever, was absolutely a brilliant film, because it brought, there had been some bad ones, and it was such a good film because it was set between Saw 1 and Saw 2. Well, they were going to do a remake. It's been up, but it's the latest news is now I've heard it's not going to happen. They've had problems with the script. And also, the fact is, the actor, he's in his 80s. I mean, imagine, imagine doing a film when you're that old. It'd be difficult, extremely difficult. So I think it could be the end of the Saw franchise unless they can revamp it in some way and come up with some, I don't know, something. But
yeah. Well, they've done split offs, haven't they, with Spiral and that?
Yeah.
It all depends on whether you want to continue forward.
Yeah,
now,
I mean, do you need
splinter off from earlier episodes?
Yeah. I mean, in a way, Saw 10 is a good way to end it because it was a good film.
Yeah.
Why can't they just be happy and think, well, we ended it well. It hasn't ended on a bad film. It ain't like Friday the 13th, where you've ended on Jason X, which was a bad film. You've ended on a good film.
You could make Saw a one series anthology show.
Yeah.
So the 10th film was the last film.
Yeah.
And then you saw earlier killings in a sort of anthology type of.
Yeah. Well, mind you, the why Saw 10 was good is because we found out all about his motives and what had happened to him.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Yeah, so now that's explained. He could now become a sort of a crypt keeper sort of role where he actually explains about other revenge stories.
Yeah. Yeah, there could be further stories. Actually, you're right. Maybe a TV series. They could do something where they didn't have to use him as an actor, or he could be in a very light role almost.
Well, he could be. You see, it's not hard for him to be a narrator.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He could do that from his own.
Yeah. It's just, I think physically it becomes difficult. It is when you're older. It's difficult to do in a certain role. You can't do the physical things anymore. But yeah, it's an interesting thing anyhow. So yeah, we got.
I'm just going to go and check on.
We mentioned about 2001. And then we've got Tony saying, "Evening, Ian and Del and chat." Hello, Tony. Welcome. He's just gone off. He hasn't gone into his rant yet, Tony. Don't worry. And then we've got Si saying, "Hi, Tony." And Tony says, "Evening, Si." And then we've got that gentleman lady got a double dose of deletion. Yes, brilliant. Excellent. That's what we need. Si says, I would just like to say that Sunday was the greatest day of my life. I finally got to see my beloved Newcastle United lift a trophy. Yes, I saw that in the news, and that is fantastic. It's something I didn't think would happen. It must be absolutely wonderful. Absolutely, because it's always Newcastle have got to finals, have done well, and I'm showing my age, but I do remember when they did win in Europe, but that was such a long time ago, wasn't it? In 60s, I think. So they've done well. And it proves that if you keep at it, there are you can do it, and it's a great moment for the club. Whether you'll go on from that, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. You've broken the taboo. You've done it. You've won a trophy, and that's fantastic. And you're in Europe as well, so you've done well. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, often winning that cup is good for the whole team. You know, it means the belief that you can actually win something. You know, you can win something. It's possible. So, you know, good luck to you. I mean, I'm not a Newcastle fan, but I think, you know, it's a good story. It's a very good story. Tony Hawk says, I'll have to rewatch some of Mars Bonds. Oh, yeah, next week. Yes. Everybody's going to be Roger Moore, aren't they? I think a lot of people love Roger Moore. And why not? You know, he's a great Bond, but you probably can guess where I am. Oh, God. Sorry, I've got a blooming... I've just seen this here. A troll. Oh, God. Yeah, I think, sorry, they've gone now, the troll. Usual rubbish. Right. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know what your favourite more Bond films are, but we'll see next week. We don't want to go into that now. Sai says, have you seen that Neil Blomkamp is going to be directing a Starship Troopers reboot? Apparently, it's going to be closer to the source material. That's an interesting piece of news, isn't it? That they're rebooting.
I don't know how that'll work.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Starship Troopers got a difficulty of getting off the ground because it was so depressing to Paul Verhoeven. Because he actually lived through a communist environment.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
That he actually had to change the script to make it more interesting. Now, if you go to the original book, which was very difficult to get sold because everybody that read it went, this is boring as hell. Because of the communist side of things.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell. But I always look forward to somebody trying to bring back Starship Troopers because I love it. I love Starship Troopers. I think it's great. And I've watched some of the straight-to-video ones as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm poo-pooing it at all. It's just that if you look at... I've looked at so many documentaries about Starship Troopers that was one of the first things Paul Verhoeven did was to say, I'll do it, but the script has got to be totally changed. Because I fell asleep after 3 pages. That's what he said.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully. Yeah. Right.
So I'm with Sai here. I think I'd really look forward to another Starship Troopers.
And then we've got Tony. He says, just ordered Horizon, Del. Wasn't aware of it until I saw it reviewed recently. So there you are. I've seen people on about it.
I beat Tony York to it. I'll get in there. Yay.
I told you. There it are. It's starting. We're waiting for the rant. Yeah, God. No, the rant hasn't come yet. Tony says, sorry, busy typing. I missed that. I'll be more. Don't worry about it. We've got rid of these blooming trolls. Don't worry, Tony. You're there. I know you'll get rid of them. We Bob evening, gents. We'll be around till about 10. Hope life is treating you well, and all the best to your mum, Del, and hope things are going as well as can be expected. Thank you. That's a nice message for Dan.
Yeah, she wants to stay up for another half hour, so nothing. She wants to watch this drama thing about the last woman that was hanged. You know, the woman who did that revenge killing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forgot the full story, but she commit murder to a loved.
Yeah.
She was running a brothel or something, or
was it
she
Alice?
was
Alice. What was her first name? I'm sure it's Alice. Something Alice.
Yeah, it's Alice. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've already done films on it. Now they're doing a drama series on it, you know.
Yeah. I think there's been cinema films on it as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I saw it on TV from the 80s a number of years ago with the she was a famous woman. With blonde.
Ruth Ellis, is it?
Yeah.
Ruth Ellis. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. All right. We've got Sai here saying The Substance was my second favorite film of 2024. Honora was my favorite, and Mickey Madison deserved Best Actress Oscar. She was outstanding in it. One of the best performances I've seen in years. I think Honora is. Yeah, I love Honora. Yeah. I can't wait to get her own copy of that. Yeah. And then we've got Wee Bubba. I enjoyed Honora, but need to give it a rewatch due to subtitle issues. All right. Well, we get that sorted out.
I've ordered it.
Yeah. Substance I enjoyed 4/5 of again, but probably need to give it a rewatch.
I think that's a pretty good ratio. 4/5 of it I liked. You know what I mean? If the 5th I didn't. That's a bloody good ratio.
Andy. Hello, Andy. Andy makes Star Wars. Highlander, brilliant film, even with the ropes at the end. Connery is hardly in it. However, he is awesome in it. And the soundtrack, wow. Yeah.
There you go.
But Connery he always feels sometimes that he's just in there for a payday. It's a bit embarrassing sometimes, as if he don't want to do much, you know. But there we are. He's good in it. What bit he is, I admit, he is good. He's a good character. But you want to see more.
Yeah.
Wee Bob says, I know we don't like Speed 2, but Speed was great. Can you name any other movies that are of a similar nature, e.g., a vehicle that can't slow down, otherwise bad things will happen? Another film like that. Blimey heck. Oh.
Probably as concepts in the middle of a film. You know what I mean? You know, in other words, not exactly about the film. You know, because I mean, there are always runaway trains in films, and like the something express or whatever it is, you know, or whatever it is, you know, where a train can't stop or something because.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. There is that film Runaway Train, is it? Something.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, what I'm saying is, I've seen some films where they're all on they're on some sort of like Siberian train that can't stop because there's some disease going on it or something, right? Which has nothing.
Yeah.
You know. And it's not really about. It's not really about the vehicle. You know
yeah.
I mean?
I can't think of any actual other vehicle films.
I mean, there's that film that you like, that horror film where the devil's on board, isn't it? On board the train.
Oh, Horror Express.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, Horror Express is good.
You know what I mean? But it's not. It's not again. Yeah. It's not about the train. It's about what's on the train. You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You see, the taking of Pelham 123 is not about.
Yeah, I was thinking of hijack kind of films. If there's any that we can think of, like hijacks.
It was quite a unique thing, that Speed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the fact that you had to stay at a certain You couldn't go slow down was a very clever piece of filmmaking, wasn't it?
I mean,
in the story.
Could you count all the airport films as being, as being a vehicle where it must, like, they're up in the air and there's a bomb going to go off, so they can't, stop and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What happened to all those films? Airport 77 and Airport 70 and Airport.
Yeah, they kind of don't get talked about much, do they? Those. No. Because everybody thinks of Airplane, which was taking the piss out of all those kind of films, wasn't it?
Well, it was taking the piss out of not the airport films, but another particular film that was set in the 40s or something, wasn't it? They actually said it in the documentary. They said, many people think we're taking the piss out of the airport films, but actually we're taking the piss out of it. It's actually beat for beat this other film. And I forgot
what
it was called. Yeah.
I can't.
Anyway,
I'm
never going to come up with any more than what I've done.
Sorry about that. We've tried. And then Rob says, "We bought Father Ted special, Speed 3. Oh yeah, of course. Yes, you could. That was brilliant. Everybody.
I didn't think of that because it's not a film, is it?
Yeah, but as a thing, that was great. Yeah. Sadly, I haven't seen Father Ted. Just bits of it. Oh, you'd love it, I'm sure. Father Ted is all-time great comedy. It's up there with the greatest comedies. Absolutely. Tell you so. There's Runaway Train, but
there you are.
I don't remember the details. Yeah, it's quite a while ago. What's his name is in that? Julie Roberts' brother, and I've forgotten his name. Somebody Roberts. See, my brain has definitely had it.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
Look, feck, drink, girls.
Girls, feck.
That's Father Ted, Wee Bubba, Wee Bubba Unstoppable with Denzel Washington and Chris Pine, directed by Tony Scott. I think that is very underrated.
Yeah. That's a good show.
Yeah.
I like Tony Scott.
I've seen Unstoppable. Was decent.
Yeah. Tony Scott. I like Tony Scott film.
Yeah, I liked Age of Shadows for its unusual historic setting in. Yeah, I thought you would. I found it interesting that you don't get that normally about that period in Japanese history. Colonial Japan, and especially with Korea, and it was a Korean film, and them looking at their past. Fantastic film, and you don't get it, no. So I really enjoyed that. Tony says, Susan Penhaligon and Arthur Lowe as the bank manager. Oh, that's No Sex Plays Where British, Tony says, Venon's crazy. Kinski's window exit was a highlight. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hang on a minute. How come, right? I bought something like The Substance in a beautiful steelbook, and everybody's talking about the crap covers like Venom and that of yours.
Yeah, well, it's the film that counts. In all the shiny.
The Substance is a great film.
Even though The Substance is a great film, it is a great film.
So you can't even come out with that, can you? You can't even come out with that as an excuse, can you? I get the picture, Tony. It's all right. Yeah.
It's nearly a rant, but not quite got there yet. No. This time. Si says there's a documentary of the making of Fitzcarraldo starring Klaus Kinski. At one point of the filming, the Brazilian rainforest natives offered to kill Kinski because he was that bad. I can imagine he would be infuriate everybody. He just was so antisocial. He was.
I haven't seen it, but I can bet it's there. And
yeah. Tony says, I have Fitzcalder to watch it. I've seen Aguirre. Is that Aguirre? Wrath of God, also set in South America with Kinski as a conquistador. Oh, crikey.
Yeah, I've seen Wrath of God.
I've
seen Wrath of God.
Yeah, Wrath of God. And then we've got Wee Bob Art. We could get an artificial eye picture of Del from the blurriness. I'm not promising anything anymore, as its time is unavailable at the moment for side quests. Don't worry at all about that.
And to be quite honest,
I'll do my best I can. I'm not one of these people.
Why go to all that trouble when you could just ask me for a picture?
Yeah, there we are.
So all I'm saying is it's really nice, but what I'm saying is I'd rather somebody do me a short intro to my channel.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, he wants a short intro.
No, I'm only joking.
Come up with some brilliant idea.
I'm gonna do something Twilight Zone inspired as an intro, but I just don't know how I'm gonna do it yet.
Just put a box of steel books shining away.
I want to do a Rod Serling Twilight Zone type intro.
Oh right. I thought we'd have a Jerry Goldsmith one, maybe.
No, but it's retro. It's retro zone. Retro zone.
Yeah, you could have a Jerry Goldsmith one. We've got to have that, haven't we?
Can't, because you'd get a copyright strike.
Yeah, you would. That's the blooming problem. YouTube.
And by the way, I haven't mentioned him. You are. You keep mentioning him. I didn't mention him last week.
Well, you did in the background. You was trying it on.
I did not mention him.
Yeah, but you was trying to. I didn't notice it because I don't notice notes. And there you were. You was trying it on. We know. We're not daft. Blade.
That's Stephen Dorff or whatever his name is.
Yeah, it is for Stephen Dorff. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blade's a good film, isn't it? Yeah. Stephen King, Mr. Mercedes is a great TV show. Season 1 and Season 2. Not Season 3 so much. Yeah, some of his TV shows have been okay, haven't they? Miniseries that they used to have.
I don't think I've seen those.
No, I've not seen that. I've not heard of it, to be honest, Mr. Mercedes.
I've seen a lot of Stephen King stuff,
yeah.
But I mean,
one of my favorites was The Stand. I love The Stand. Absolutely fantastic one that is.
Yeah.
The Outsider as well for Stephen King is a good book, and the TV show is quite faithful, is it? Oh, that's good. Si says, take that back, Ian. The Sting is my second favorite film of all time. I'm sorry, Si. What a wonderful film that is. Yeah.
Let's see if he unsubs.
Tony says, have you ever seen Stephen King Golden Years? Oh, yeah. Remember watching it on TV many years ago and really enjoying it. Yeah, I do. Because they had the David Bowie song, of course. But Golden
Years. Like I said, I haven't
seen
seen everything. Stephen King's done a heck of a lot of stuff. And there's so many different names. I have seen Golden Years.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I couldn't reel off a list of all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
What does that... He must be a prolific writer. I wonder how many books he has.
I don't know. I reckon a lot of his stuff now is ideas. I mean, he did that short story, didn't he? About
the short story stuff. Yeah, he's a lot of
I mean, he did that TV series that was about that town that was cut off with a big force field, the dome.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, that's not a that's more an idea than a
yeah. But
than a
didn't it
book.
get cancelled? I think that
Well, yeah,
got
they all
cancelled.
do, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got
Because
cancelled.
it's a short story for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
Because it's a
nothing
short
to it.
story. Yeah,
Once you know there's an alien in the center of it all, and
yeah,
that you've got rid of that, that's the end of it.
yeah,
So, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. But of course, um, it doesn't just write horror, does it? Now it's you know some of his best one, like the Shawshank Redemption, of course. I mean, wow, what a film that is!
well,
What? Yeah,
he's done. He does fantasy like Running
yeah.
Man and all that.
Dark
They're all
Towers.
under his
Yeah,
they're all under his pseudonyms. He does
yeah,
supernatural. He does horror.
yeah,
He does crime.
yeah,
Not so much crime though, but he does
yeah,
a bit of crime.
yeah,
But you know, he's a very versatile guy. But I mean,
yeah.
what I'm
It is.
saying is I
Yeah,
think a lot of his stuff these days now is more ideas.
yeah.
So
I think the last thing I saw of his was that Kennedy assassination one, which they did as a mini
um,
series.
63 something or other it was
Yeah,
called. Or
yeah,
something
because
like
that
that.
was I've not read the book. That was quite a big bestseller apparently.
No, that was a TV series as well.
But as well, yeah. It was originally the book and they obviously thought, oh, the book's done really well. It's Kennedy. It's bound to be a successful TV series.
It was something
But I
like
suspect it wasn't the
1163 or
successful.
something.
Yeah.
It was something like 1163 or
Yes. Yeah.
2311 or
Yeah.
something.
It
It
was.
was a
It was
load
the
of
day.
numbers anyway.
It was the day of the assassination,
Yeah.
which I think is. Yeah, we should know as Doctor Who fans what the date of the assassination was, because it was in when Doctor Who started originally, if you
Oh yeah,
remember.
it's 20,
There's,
23 11
it must be
63.
yeah, um,
23
well,
11 63.
November.
What I was
Yeah.
trying to get at is I don't think it's called 23 11 63. I think it's just two sets of numbers. I think
Oh
it's just
right.
month and year
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember though. What I'm getting at is it was what 6 episodes long. It was a time travel-y thing. It was
Yeah.
all based around the assassination of
That's right.
Kennedy
Yeah.
again.
I
But
remember
it was a good
watching
it was a good series. I liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I thought maybe it'd be better than it was. Yeah, it was one of them
Oh,
that
I
you
don't know.
maybe
I liked
thought was
it. I thought
more.
it was good.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. Maybe we get so much about Kennedy that we expect so
Yeah.
much. I mean, Kennedy assassination has had more written and done about it than anything. Yeah.
I'd rather watch every 2 or so years JFK and then put that to bed and just go, right,
Yeah.
I've seen that again.
Yeah.
Now I'll watch it again in a couple of years' time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I got my deluxe edition of JFK.
I know. It was on your blog, wasn't it? This week. You was on about it.
Not
Oh, wasn't
JFK.
it?
No.
What's it you on about this week? JFK.
No.
Oh, perhaps it was some other channel then. I was watching somebody that was going
How
on about
dare you?
JFK.
How dare you?
Oh. I don't know. There was somebody I was watching talking about JFK. I mixed it up with you, probably. There you are. That's a compliment,
I'm
thinking
not.
that
I'm
you
not
would be
hurt.
talking
I'm
about
not.
JFK.
I'm not hurt. No.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a look. Next one. Weebaba. Not one I have seen. Oh, that's Tony who's on about the film. Controversial opinion, but I can't stand The Wolf of Wall Street. Absolutely overhyped. Do you know? I might agree with you on that. It's an exhausting film, and
it's a long film. I actually quite like it, but it's one of those ones that I don't want to watch over and over again.
That's right. Yeah, I felt that.
It's one I want to watch every now and again.
Yeah, it's kind of so over the top, extreme almost. These characters are not lovable characters, are they? And maybe that's a part of it. You can't say you like the characters; they're so awful. But yeah, you're drawn to watching it because they are so bad. But I know what you mean.
I'd watch something like The Irishman over The Wolf of Wall Street every time.
Yeah.
The Wolf of Wall Street is not a bad film. It's it's one of those ones that I think is 3 hours or 4 hours long or whatever it is, and it's just like, oh, can I go through this? Because I know straight away that he's just going to be. It's a self-indulgent film. It's going to have lots of sex
know the outcome, don't you?
in it.
You do know the outcome of Wolf of Wall Street. You can guess it, I think. Yeah. Definitely. Anyhow, we've got Tony saying, Bob, to be honest, I don't fully remember the exact plot details. I know it involved reversal or acceleration of the aging process due to some scientific experiment gone wrong. That's the golden years, isn't it? Yeah, it was something like that. Interesting. I take it you have seen the movie Old by M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that one, but I liked it. I thought I liked the concept.
Set on the island, isn't it?
Yeah. I know people said, "Oh, yeah," but it's typical with the director. He does have a lot of divides a lot of people. But I enjoyed it. I don't think it was terrible. And then we've got tell you, no, Bob, don't tell Ian, but not a Shyamalan fan. Saw The Village on TV, and that's about it. The Village is a good one, Tony. Though it's not available on Blu-ray, it's only available on DVD. But I have got a Blu-ray of it.
Yeah,
because I loved it so much, I managed to get hold of one. But The Village is a very good one. And what about Signs, Tony? Have you seen Signs? You might like that. Sci-fi.
They are crop circles, yeah.
Yeah. The biggest regret of my cinema life is watching. Oh God, you didn't go to see a Serbian film. I know that it's fake, but what the film suggests that makes me feel sick to my stomach. Exactly. You didn't actually go to the cinema. Bloody hell. God, that's awful. It's such an awful film, and he's right. Yeah. What can I say?
I used to go to horror fests.
Yeah, but this is not. It's subject matter. It's
back.
Well
this is back in the 80s and 90s where you went to a 72-hour marathon, which they watched films over one after the other, and you had to stay awake. And I even then I don't remember seeing a Serbian film. I rember seeing
you don't want to see
cannibal films, but
I think even it's supposedly there is a Blu-ray out of it, and that even that is cut apparently. And it's just awful. Anyhow, Antonio, fair enough. I like Unbreakable. Yeah, I do. Yeah, Sixth Sense and Trap, of course. Yeah, I love Trap. Plus other ones. Wasn't a fan of The Village, but only seen it once. Yeah, Trap I enjoyed a lot. Some people were mixed on that, weren't there? I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that his daughter was doing the singing in it. But I thought it was all right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. I've
seen the silent version of Trap.
Yeah.
It was called Shut Your Trap.
Oh dear. The jokes are getting they're just getting there somewhere.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I've got to go and check your mum again. It's 9:30.
Yeah. And Bubba says, okay, it's all right. I know the subject matter of the movie, sorry, but thankfully I've never seen it and never will. No, don't. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't unsee what you see, if you see what I mean. And Tony said, I Googled Serbian film, but thankfully forgot the details. Yeah, don't yeah, don't go into it. It's awful. Best not to. Frank Hodder. Hello, Mr. Ian and Mr. Delboy. Hope you are well. I have a question. What was the first film you ever bought? Not given to you. And can you guess what film will be the last you will ever buy? That's a bit of a spooky question at the end one. Well, yeah, the first film that I bought on VHS, I remember it very well, was I'll say a film because it's in two bits, right? The first film is, of course, The Fog. It was on a label called Channel 5 on VHS. It was quite cheap. It was in W.H. Smith, and it was like in one of those metal things where you put in the tapes and that. And I saw The Fog, and it was quite cheap. It was on a cheap label. It's Channel 5 or whatever they called it. And I picked it up, thought, oh, I'll have that. And the other one was Revenge of the Cybermen, BBC. And that, of course, was one where they showed like an omnibus version. It was all put together. It wasn't in the episodes. So The Fog and that. And oh yeah, I think there was another Doctor Who which I must have just gotten, or maybe it was just after, which was Death to the Daleks, the John Pertwee one, and that was all put together. But the first actual film would definitely be The Fog. And that's what I remember. And the last you'll ever buy, who knows? I have no idea. It's quite a twisted question. I haven't got my I don't know. I've absolutely no idea. How can we know? How can we know? I'll tell you something. As long as there's physical media and you can buy films, then I'll buy them. I don't want a download. I don't want a digital copy of a film. I don't want to stream a film that you can't keep, and have and touch. I just love physical media so much. I've got to have things. I've got to have the film to touch. It's like, Tony, you sent me all those DVDs. Well, I managed to get a big box full of DVD cases. I got 100. Somebody was virtually throwing it away, and I managed to get the box. And I've put all them films you sent me. They're all now in beautiful cases, and they look great. All those DVDs. I love DVDs. Absolutely fantastic. So they look great, and I've got them all in these cases. I was very lucky and got on eBay, and somebody obviously thought, oh, get rid of all these cases. And great, because I could have bought some individually. I looked on Amazon. They were charging quite a hell of a lot. But somebody obviously just wanted rid of all these cases. And so I was very, very lucky. There was about 100. So that covered all the ones that you'd sent me. So I could actually have a nice, lovely case to have them all in. I think that's the answer to your question. The last one, obviously, well, I'm never going to know what the last film I'm ever going to buy is. But as long as there's physical media, I will buy films. And that's the answer to my question. I just told my answer was, Delboy, my first film I ever bought on VHS was The Fog. Over to you.
Well, the first film I ever bought. So we had a VHS player in 1981. We had lots of pirated films like E.T. at the time, so that was 83. So what was the very first film we ever bought? I'll tell you, I know what it was. Yeah. X-Rental Mean Machine.
Oh, wow. Do you
How's
remember
that
how
for
much you paid
how's
for it?
that for a time? How's that for a time capsule in time?
That's
for
brilliant. Do you remember how much you paid for it?
It was X-Rental, so I think it was like a tenner, I think.
Oh, absolute bargain.
It
Because they
was
were expensive.
it was for being as it was one of those early rental when there was no blockbusters.
Yeah, I remember those before Blockbusters. That's all I remember, actually.
Yeah.
All this shops before
And like you, how can I ever think about what will be the last video I ever buy? I'll tell you what it'll probably be. It'll probably be Star Trek the Motion Picture. Oh my God, not another release edition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'll be
Yeah.
the 8K holographic edition or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that,
holographic edition. Yeah, yes.
No, I mean, and it'll be a steel book.
Yeah, it'll be a steel book, but it'll be a holographic. Yeah, that's right.
With a lenticular holographic cover or something.
Yeah. And then it'll go. That's it. Gone. Right.
By the way, my mother's not gone to bed. I have to go back again.
Oh, right. Okay. And then Andy McStar what's your favourite Guy Ritchie film, lads? Has to be Snatch for me. Wasn't keen on the Sherlock films. Do you want to say what you think's your favourite?
I'm not a big Guy Ritchie fan. I don't like that Lock, Snatch, and all that sort of stuff. In fact, the Sherlock Holmes films are the ones that I'll stomach.
So
Man. Did he do the Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yeah, there's that one as well. They did.
Not a big Guy Ritchie fan. They're all much of nothing for me.
Yeah.
I think he's done a few periodic media. I think he's done some medieval type film, hasn't he? Couple. Didn't he try to do that not a Robin Hood, but a King Arthur thing, Guy Ritchie thing with Beckham or something? Was that a Guy Ritchie film?
Oh, crikey, you're right. Yes.
I've never seen that. That was bloody awful.
The fact that he had Beckham didn't exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You think it's going to be very good?
I'm not actually in awe of Guy Ritchie.
No. Oh.
I understand why people do. Don't get me wrong. Sherlock Holmes is actually quite well shot.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not the Sherlock Holmes that I remember. Watching. I mean, I'd much prefer watching a Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes than a Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes, whether it's got Robert Downey Jr. in it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm tend to be with you, really. I've not seen Snatch and all those others. The Sherlock Holmes are okay, but I know I sound a bit boring, but I like more traditional Sherlock Holmes. If I see Sherlock Holmes, I want him to be more traditional. I don't like a modernized version of Sherlock Holmes, so they were okay. They weren't terrible films, like you say. They were well shot.
He's one of those ones which is He's one of those ones which is a name.
Yeah.
But I'm not that in awe of him.
Yeah. It's like I'm not in. I didn't really like the. Is it Cumberbatch ones that they did? A lot of people rated. BBC did some with him before he became sort of a big film star. I never got into them that much. I just wanted a more traditional Sherlock Holmes, I think. But I say like that, I would choose the Sherlock Holmes films of Guy Ritchie if I had to choose any. Hopefully that's answered your question, hasn't it? Frank Calder, no, I'm sorry, Andy, I don't like his films. Well, there you are. And then Weeble, Snatch is one of my favourite movies. I didn't like the Bullet Train one. Not sure it is though. No, I don't know. I don't know.
You mean did Guy Ritchie do Bullet Train? I don't know.
No.
Mm.
And Tony says he's not a Ritchie fan.
I'm just not a Ritchie. I'm just not a Ritchie fan.
He likes. I know Tony will like the more traditional crime films and more traditional Sherlock Holmes versions. I like Ritchie's version of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah, it's I'll be honest.
I'd rather watch the TV series.
I was just going to say I didn't watch it because I thought I love the TV series so much that is not going to be something that I would enjoy.
And of course, back in the 60s, that the main theme to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was done by Jerry Goldsmith. Yes,
oh no! It's happened. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Go look it up and see if I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Everybody's going, oh no, not the Jerry Goldsmith moment. It's happened. There it is. And I thought we might get through. We've been an hour and 25 minutes and it's happened. Yeah. So there we are.
Get in there.
And then Tony says, having said that, I was looking at a recent 2024 film of his, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, but couldn't see a physical copy available. Oh, I wonder if it's one of them that went on to streaming. I suspect it did. I'm sure he did one for streaming, and they don't release them. It's probably something like Apple TV or whatever who don't release anything. You can't get the stuff. Yeah, this one. Yeah, Ruth Ellis. Yep, that was right. Yep.
Yeah.
The last woman to be hanged. There's a good Diana Dawes film. Oh, yeah, Yield to the Night, based on the case. That is a good film.
I just remember. I think Channel 4 did a film production. Yeah, I can't remember. There's this lady actress in it that she's famous. I can't think of what her name is. And I've seen it a number of times, and I still can't think.
Ruth Ellis. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up, aren't I? I'm gonna.
Yeah, go on. You look. I'll carry on. Tony says Cassandra Crossing, disease carrying train. Oh, right. That's another of the transport ones on the move. Cassandra Crossing. What about the Steven Seagal film set on a train? You ask it. I don't know any Steven Seagal films.
There you are.
No idea. Absolutely no idea, Tony.
I found it. It was Dance with a Stranger.
Was it? Right. Dance with a Stranger. Ruth Ellis one. Yeah, I don't think you don't look like a Steven Seagal film fan, but you never know. You might have something hidden.
I can't watch Steven Seagal.
I can't.
All that crap. He's a cook on a bloody boat.
Yeah, I know that's just the one that everybody knows, and I doubt if anybody knows any of his others. But there's one there, Tony. I've never heard of it. We don't know it. And look, you see, this is the one. Yeah, Under Siege 2. Oh, they did a sequel to Under Siege. I only seen it a few times many years ago. So that's set. Yeah.
I just can't watch the guy. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Do you know, he did a reality TV series where he was a marshal. Apparently, supposedly in real life, he was a marshal. They made him, and he went round with these police cars, and he was telling everybody who he was. I'm Steven Seagal. All like this. Absolutely dreadful series. I'm surprised it got made. But people were laughing at him. Nobody could take him seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony says, watched Ice Station Zebra
Oh,
this week for the first time in many years. Yeah, I saw it at the cinema. Was okay, but didn't seem to enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Maybe because I'm not the biggest Rock Hudson fan. I get you there about Rock Hudson, but at the time, I remember seeing it at the cinema, and it was different. It was somewhat very different. Ice Station Zebra. I know there isn't much sets in it. It's set on a submarine and what have you. But yeah, I liked it. I think it stands out.
yeah. Well,
for me.
I watched it for the for Ernest Borgnine and for Patrick McGowan, really.
Yeah, because he famously took time off filming The Prisoner to film that when they were making The Prisoner.
So whenever I'm watching that film, I get the most enjoyment watching those two people in it.
Yeah.
And I always like the bit where the bulkheads and the water's all coming in and all of that sort of stuff. I think that's quite good. Quite good part of the film. Anyway.
Yeah. I can see why people might not like it as much, because it's there isn't many sets in it, is it? It's in the submarine, and when they come up at the ice at the end, and
that's it. Yeah,
that's it. That's the sets. But it's not about that, is it? It's about the acting and the tension.
Yeah. It's supposed to be supposed to be claustrophobic, slightly, really. But...
Yeah. What's your favourite heist films? I love Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 and The Inside Man by Spike Lee.
Yeah, but you see, the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 has already been mentioned as my favourite heist films.
Yeah.
All right, then. Another heist film that's not mentioned very often is Quick Change.
Oh, right.
That's with Bill Murray, Gina Davis, and where there's a bank robbery going on and he's dressed up as a clown.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
There's so many good heist films, though. There's The Garden Club, and The Hatton Garden Club.
I can't think of it. Well, I can think of one. I can't think of the name of it. It's the Ealing Studio one. It's got Stanley Baker and Tony.
Oh, you mean the one with the Eiffel Towers?
That's right. Yeah. What's that one? The one with the Eiffel Towers.
Oh,
he's probably typing away now.
No, I'm not. Oh, got me hands
here,
look.
No, Tony will know it.
Oh, that cheating bastard! Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. The one with the Eiffel Towers.
Yeah, the Lavender Hill mob. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we are brilliant. Well done, Lavender Hill mob. Love that. Absolutely.
No, he's just put it. Look in the chat. Lavender Hill.
Has he? Oh, right.
Yeah, because he's a cheating bastard. He just decided, right. Here we go.
Right. Si says 11/22/63 stars James Franco.
That's it.
I really enjoyed it. That's the one. Yeah, the Kennedy one. Yeah.
Which I still class it as 22nd of the 11/63. I don't give a shit that it's.
Oh, because Americans do it the other way around. Yeah. We've been America's trying to take over our language and everything, and everything, even the way our dates now. I watched Gladiator 1992, directed by Rowdy Errington, and starring Cuba Gooding Jr., James Marshall, Brian Dennehy, and Robert Loggia. It's a good film to check out if you haven't seen it.
I saw it many years ago.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
It is a long time, yeah. 1992, anyhow. Yeah. Yeah.
It was at a time where I was going to the cinema every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I was watching videos, I was watching videos like nearly every other day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gladiator would have been one of those ones I saw as a video, I think.
Yeah. 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 Brilliant. And then Tony says, big fan of heist films. Watched a couple recently. Flawless, 2007, with Michael Caine and Demi Moore. Set in 1960s London. I like it already, but a huge diamond robbery. Also, Dollars, 1970, with Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
Interested?
I think you could actually class Entrapment.
And Warren Beatty. Apparently,
I think you could class Entrapment as a heist film because that's Sean Connery with forgotten her name now. Zeta Jones.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Yeah,
she's using all sorts of bloody things to do gymnastics to get some bloody jewel.
Yeah. He says that this film is about a bank robbery set in Germany. Oh, right.
Oh, of course. There's the Great Train Robbery.
Yeah.
There's Buster.
Oh, yeah. And there's Robbery with Stanley Baker, 1960.
Most people want to forget Buster, though.
Something like that. Yeah.
Bloody Phil Collins as Buster. Oh, my
God. Through the Lens, Josh says, hey, fellas, hope you're doing well tonight. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Josh!
Yeah. Trap is M. Night's best film, I would say. A very funny film, in a way.
I've got it ordered.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Trap. Yeah. Si says, Stephen Walls, I've seen Gladiator 92. I absolutely love it. I used to rent it out for at least once a month on VHS. So you were quite a big fan then, getting it once a month.
Like I said, I think I saw it on VHS as a rental. Pretty sure I did.
Oh
I can't remember seeing a what's his name? Cubbett Jr. What's his name? Seeing him at the pictures. Why would I want to go and see him at the pictures? It's not like it's an actor that make me go, oh, Schwarzenegger, you know what I mean? Like,
you know. Right, now this is interesting. Because he mentions a film that we all should have mentioned. League of Gentlemen, and it is Italian Job, of course.
Well, Italian Job, yeah.
Not think of that. Two of my favorite heist films. One I just remembered with Klaus Kinski and Edward G. Robinson is Grand Slam, 1967. Another diamond robbery set in Brazil.
Tony York. Another heist film that's not mentioned very much is After the Fox. After the Fox, with Peter Sellers creating a film while he was trying to get the whole of the town to appear as extras in the film while he did a crime. And what about the Pink Panther?
Yeah,
which is all about the Pink Panther diamond, which is what the bloody name of the film was all about.
That's right, the original one.
Why it was called the Pink Panther from then on.
Yeah,
it doesn't even feature the diamond anymore. It's like, what the hell? But there's so many, isn't there? I mean, my God.
The Italian Job, it's one that everybody mentions.
Yeah, Italian Job.
It's one of them.
Not the remake.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't mention the remake. You're not supposed to mention that. Steve Moss, I watched Trespass 1992, directed by Walter Hill, written by Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. and starring Bill Paxton, Ice-T, William Sadler, and Ice Cube. Another good film to check out. Oh, right. Right.
I'm not sure if I've seen. I mean, I've
I've not
seen a
seen that,
number of
no.
Walter Hill films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seymour Saros, yes, I used to own the VHS as well. Through Lens. Will you guys be seeing Snow White? Reviews are out, and it's mixed to say the least. Zegler has a great voice, but I doubt the film will be good at all. Now, this film, we've heard more about this film for the last year before it's even been released than I've ever heard of any other Disney film. All we hear about is the live action Snow White film and all the stuff about it, the controversy and everything. And is it finally coming out? I think on streaming, probably. I don't know if it might be getting a limited cinema review, but if you follow all the controversy that's been going on over the last, year or so, then it hasn't looked good, has it? But if you go in with maybe low expectations, it could turn out to be better. I don't know. But I doubt it. There's no smoke without fire with all that controversy. I don't think I've known such a film talked about that hasn't been released. It's been at least a year. We've heard everything about it. So that's my opinion of it. So, any thoughts?
I'm not. Well, no, I'm not a big fan of cartoons turned into live action anyway. But it was one of those films where we have been talking about it for a long time, and my opinion was, and I still hold this true, that I'll never say never.
Yeah.
And and so many films have given it are negative about it before it's even out, that I said I'm going to try being less negative. So all I'm saying is that I might go and see it, but it's not in my high agenda list because I was always, because of my age, I'll never forget how wonderful the animation was by Disney.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody who isn't of my sort of age wasn't impressed by those visuals. How the fluid the animation was, how much definition there was behind all the, I mean, it was a true sort of like horror cartoon, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So, from my point of view, what's live action going to add to it?
Yeah. Note. No.
So it's not like high on my agenda anyway.
Yeah. But it's not a good way for Disney to have had all this publicity about it. I mean, you're right. We shouldn't, we should give it a chance.
I'm going to go and check on my mum again.
Yeah. But it doesn't look good, does it? All the publicity around it and the casting and the controversy. So it would be interesting. But can you really match that the original animated film? Beautiful animation, 2D. That's how it should be for me. Absolutely loved it. Anyhow, let's carry on. Wee Baba. I watched Snow White, hoping I enjoy it. I enjoyed Wicked, which we watched the other day. It was a bit preachy in places. Oh dear. I've not seen it. I'll be honest. It's not something that's appealed to me that I want to watch. No, I know it has got a lot of fans. A lot of people have been really enjoying it. It's something. If I was watching the TV or just flicking through channels, and it popped up, I might watch it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. I might be surprised. I maybe have got too many preconceptions about this film, and it might be good. I don't know if the music. I mean, if it's a musical, then the starting point for any musical has to be that the music is good, that the songs are good. If you haven't got any good songs, no matter how well it's filmed or how it looks, then what is the point? You know, I mean, you've got to have good songs. You've got to, you know, but this has had such a lot of problems. I don't know I don't know who's created the problems, but we've heard so much about it. And you're saying that it's a bit preachy in places. That, to me, is not a good thing. It's what people have been fearing. They don't want films that are preachy. They just want an entertaining film. And when you start bringing all these certain issues into these films, they lose their entertainment value, and you become distracted by all this preaching going on. And that's not good for a film. You can't be being distracted by a preaching and then knowing that it's got all this background to it with all the casting and everything. It's not looking good. But, you know, it's interesting what you say there, because that's, in a way, what we've kind of thought about Snow White. But Wicked is exactly, yeah, that. It's like Wicked sounds exactly what Snow White is going to be. The preachiness. So I'm sure you'll be interested to find out what Snow White's going to be like. But for me, Wicked isn't something I go out of my way to watch. It's just my feelings for that. I'm not a massive notice the word modern musical fan. I'm more older ones I prefer. I wouldn't say musicals are my big thing, but the ones that I might like, you know, are older. Like Oliver, what a great musical that is. Fantastic musical. And well, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, because as everybody knows, is one of my all-time favorite films. But I see it more than a musical. Anyhow, let's carry on. Sai says the very first VHS I bought was with my own money was The Last Starfighter. What a classic film to have, and fantastic memories it must be. Yeah, I think for me, as I say, like The Fog. I've had The Fog in everything, you know, that I could get, apart from our Laserdisc. I want a Laserdisc collector, but and I've still got all the Fog. I've got, you know, the DVD, the Blu-ray, the 4K of The Fog. It's just a great film. It's one of all-time great horror films. But yeah, The Last Starfighter, that must bring back a lot of great memories. That, and there's something good about buying out of your own money as well, isn't there? Something perhaps you've saved up for and then really wanted and gone out and got it. It's a great feeling, that, isn't it? I don't remember the first VHS I bought. Might have been Tomorrow. The something OTMT. Of course, Delboy will know what that means, and I am really thick. TMT. See, I can't think what on earth it stands for. And I'll kick myself because it's so obvious. 90s film. No. He'll know what it is. He will. I'm bound to know what it is. I'm just, is anybody else, but I'm just looking, sneaking down. He says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, you see, I'm not a fan. I'm a buffoon, as you say. Yes. Yeah, that's why I don't know it. It's, you know, I didn't watch that. That wasn't the sort of thing I was watching in the 90s. I wasn't watching as many films, and the cartoon series I was never into. And my son, he was born in 1990. The stuff he got into, I think, when he was young, was nothing like that. It's probably when we Rosie and Jim and all that stuff. Brum, yeah, yeah, Tots TV, all that. And then from that, he would have jumped to wrestling because wrestling was massive. At school, everybody was into wrestling. He was, and he'd come home and it'd be all about wrestling. So the Turtles passed me by in my household. My son, if he'd have been born a bit earlier, he probably would have been into them. But there we are. Oh, Pokemon, of course, that was all a big thing. I remember being into all that. We Baba, was it 80s? Oh dear. Richie did King Arthur, which was quite bad. Oh right, I can imagine. I do like a more traditional King Arthur. I don't know if he tried. I've never seen it. I mean, I love the King Arthur story. I'd be interested, I suppose, to see how bad it was actually. So I do like that. It's a great story. It's one of those timeless stories, isn't it? The mythology of King Arthur and all the history behind it and everything. So to see Richie doing it would be interesting, his take on it. I prefer something like, Excalibur kind of look at the mythology. That was a good film. Not everybody likes Excalibur, do they? The Gentleman is a good Guy Ritchie film, Si says. So, yeah, I'm sure that is the one that was on streaming. Yeah, it's a more recent one, isn't it? The Gentleman, Si, is the only film of his I like. His style isn't for me. Yeah, I can see that. Now Netflix owned James Bond, the series is dead, in my opinion. I can imagine how horrible the next film will be, and I guess will probably be an American female black lesbian. Your thoughts on it? Well, I'll answer it now, but hopefully next week we're going to cover more about these sort of controversies. I think, actually, and there has been some positive, I've read some positive things this week from Amazon about that it won't be a female, that it'll be a male, it'll be James Bond, and maybe there is hope that it won't be quite as bad as we're thinking. We don't want an American. He's got to be British. I don't know. I've said that. Well, P.S. Brosnan, was he Irish? I think. And we had George Lazenby, who was Australian. I thought he was quite good, Lazenby. Very underrated, but he did do more. But I know where you're coming from with that, but you can't. It wouldn't be James Bond if you had all that. It would not be James Bond. But I get where you're coming from. That, as far as I know, they're not going to tamper around with it to that extreme. That I suspect it'll be a James Bond that doesn't sleep with loads of women. It's going to be a one woman relationship. I suspect it will be that. They won't go back to the original kind of Bond. Another good film, Surviving the Game, 1994. The film stars Ice-T, Rutger Hauer, Charles S. Dutton, John McGinley, William No, I see it there we are. McNamara, Gary Busey, and F. Murray Abraham. Oh, F. Murray Abraham, good actor, interesting actor. Yeah, I've not heard of that one. It's called Surviving the Game. Sounds interesting. And a very interesting lot of actors, good actors. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if Delboy knows anything about that, but he might do. Bullet Train is from the director of Deadpool 2. Oh, now I've got a confession to make. I'm not really a big fan of Deadpool. And maybe it's part of the thing of going off Marvel films, and I know I don't know that I have the history of the comics, and it's more of a comic take on that. But I've not. For me, I'm sort of fed up of all that stuff, and Deadpool now it just doesn't appeal to me at all. And I have got in my collection the first two, but I'm thinking next time I go into CAX that they might accompany me on, because at the moment I can't see myself watching them at all, really. But Bullet Train, I don't know. I've not heard anything else about that. It sounds good. Is that the one with? Oh, my brain. See, I need somebody to help me. Yeah, it's. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cheat. Well, why not? Because I'll probably kick myself for not knowing this. Because I know it's quite a popular one when it came out. Bullet Train. Yeah, here it is. It's 2022 action comedy. It's down as. Yeah, that's it. It was Brad Pitt, Joey King, Brad Pitt, David Leitch, somebody called Bad Bunny. I've never heard of Bad Bunny. Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah, there's some of the names in it. So Brad Pitt. It's a Brad Pitt film. Oh well, there we are. I know it did well, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. Yeah. And Tony says, on the subject of Sherlock Holmes, do you have a favourite actor's portrayal of him? I know this is a cliched, and I'm such a big fan of Peter Cushing. That it's Peter Cushing, and I know in terms of films, it's the Hounds of Basketball, the film, the Hammer one, with Christopher Lee, of course, in that one. But he did a TV series, didn't he? As Sherlock Holmes, which I think could have been late 50s as well, perhaps possibly into the 60s. But I know Basil Rathbone is definitely one that a lot of people really says the definitive Sherlock Holmes performance in terms of film. And there is the TV ones as well, which ITV had one which ran for years, and I think they may have done every single Sherlock Holmes story. I think it built up quite a reputation, but I'll be honest, I never saw any. I just wasn't watching that in that time when it was on. So that's my answer to that. I have to say, because Peter Cushing is up there always as one of my favourite actors of all time. I just think he's fantastic, such a great legend. Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith. Yeah, Goldfish. Yeah, Weebo Art says yes. Laugh my ass off. Yeah. And then through the lens, I rewatched Joker 2 recently, and I've actually changed my opinion. I actually think it's quite good. That's an interesting viewpoint, really, because a lot of people didn't like it. I mean, I didn't. I have to be honest. I found it. I just didn't think it worked at all. Even with the music, Lady Gaga, it just seemed to betray everything of how good the original film was. But I get where they were coming from. They wanted to do not the typical sequel, and they had a go at it. And they used the music. So I can see why this film has got people who do like it, which you clearly do, because it's not what was expected. But for me, it didn't work. And even that trick ending as well, the very last bit of the ending for me as well was just another, oh no, So it's an interesting film. Would I watch it again? Maybe I should at some time. Maybe I should. I have got a download, which I think I may have kept of it, but I really didn't like it that much. Could I watch it again sometime? Who knows? I might give it another chance. There's something about it. I just didn't. I think I was so disappointed because the first film was so good. The Joker, the first one, is brilliant. But there we are. Through the Lens, the new Ritchie film went to Amazon Prime on Gentleman Warfare, so it went straight there. Yeah, I think I did see it. Yeah, I could probably give it a watch. Maybe. I don't know, because I've got Prime. The Ruth Ellis film from the 80s had Miranda Richardson, and who played Queen Elizabeth from Blackadder too. Oh yeah, Blackadder. I love Blackadder. Fantastic. I love the historical, the way they did all those periods in history. I even like the medieval one, which wasn't quite looked upon as, they were trying to work things out. That the series really got going when we went to Queen Elizabeth. Blackadder 2, but Blackadder 1 did have its good points, I think. But yeah, and then a lot of people would probably say that the very last Blackadder, the First World War one, was perhaps the most powerful.
I need 2 minutes, and then I'm with you. My mum's gone to bed now, but 2 more minutes. All
right. Right. Yeah, so I would say it was so powerful, that First World War one. I've never seen it. A lot of people do talk about it. That very last episode, when they went over the top and they slowed it down, it was incredibly powerful. It's if you're looking at great TV moments and and TV series as things that really stand in your mind. I always think of Blake 7, the ending of Blake 7. But the end of Blackadder you would put up there as well. I mean, what a moving piece of television. What a great piece of television. And I think ultimately that was the best series as well. The futility of the First World War and how the upper classes were so out of touch as well. As I'd been saying, going right back to the Crimea War. Things, they did reform things a bit, from how bad it was in the Crimea War. And by the time First World War came, certain aspects had improved. Obviously, uniforms and other bits of warfare had certainly improved a lot. But they still did have a bit of the upper class snobbiness there. And they were still in control. And you think about some of the things that happened in the First World War make you absolutely think, wow, how did this ever happen? The slaughter that happened on the Somme on that first day when they went over the top is unbelievable. And the fact that there were soldiers lined up behind, pointing their guns at the British Army people, that they had to, if they didn't go over the top, they would have been shot. I mean, that is absolutely chilling, terrifying. They all knew they were going to go to death. It was the most futile thing going on, and that carried on like that. What trench warfare? The problem was because the RAF and that was hardly formed. It was very new, so the planes weren't very reliable. They couldn't expand the warfare enough with the airplanes, and also there was the problem of shooting. You had the propellers, and they had to work out how you could get the machine guns to fire. Because at first, one bit they couldn't do that. They had to have somebody at the back with a machine gun firing. There were loads of problems, and that's why by the Second World War, the advancement was incredible. That we'd got to the development of the Spitfires and the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes and the Spitfires were amazing pieces of technology, and you compare it with that with what happened in the First World War. It was an amazing leap forward, and of course, ultimately, those two airplanes were responsible for winning the Battle of Britain, and that was so important. The Battle of Britain, we were on the edge of an invasion. So the technology advancements were amazing from those First World War airplanes to the Hurricane and the Spitfire. It was just a massive leap forward, as with the tanks. You look at the tanks of the First World War, they were quite unreliable as well. They were developing, but they weren't what we know as the tank, that would become important in the Second World War. So it's the First World War is a major transformation. It's such a period. The war was driving the technology because they had to adapt, and that problem with the machine gun on the airplane was a major breakthrough, because once you could fire straight forward, it changed the warfare, whereas before you couldn't because of the propeller. It wasn't synchronized enough. It would blow off the propeller if they did that. So that was so important, and that's what war did. It brought changes in technology and advanced things. But anyway, I'm sorry I've gone on about the history of warfare, but that's it. That for me, I say that Blackadder episode at the end was so fantastic, so moving, and great piece of history of television. Anyway, do you want to say anything about Blackadder?
Blackadder?
Yeah.
Probably quite a lot, but yeah, remember I told you it was Dance with a Stranger. It was the Channel 4 film. Miranda Richardson, just like Cy Robson said, but Blackadder. Well, I remember first seeing Blackadder and was quite taken aback by it, really. The very first season is so much different to the second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
It had Brian Blessed in it.
Dear old Brian Blessed.
And he had his bowl. I mean, I remember some of my friends at school being teased because they had bowler cuts. It started that trend of having a bowler cut around your head.
Yeah.
And what was it? 1982? Is it 81? 81, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're sort of right.
And I thought it was a one season and done thing because I think it wasn't well received.
Yeah.
When the second one came out, such a radical difference. I mean,
The writers changed.
that was
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably because of Ben.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sort of contribution to the writing.
Yes. That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
I remember being in awe of it. I thought it was funny. I remember the very first episode, and it was going, they had the witches,
Yeah.
when he was looking for these for the eye of something, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was all the jokes about leeches and all sorts
Yeah.
of stuff,
Yeah.
if I remember rightly. I mean, the one that everybody remembers is Bob, isn't it? Young Bob. Because that's how he kept saying. That's everybody was the next day was saying Bob in that specific way, like Bob, young Bob. And then of course there was Tom Baker. Tom Baker was in it.
Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was the old
Yeah.
sea
Yes.
shanty captain
Yeah.
who kept going, she's got a woman's bottom. And it sort of like started that trend of having a cliffhanger at the end. If I remember rightly, it was his arch nemesis dressed up as the queen that killed them all off, wasn't it? At the end of that one.
Yeah.
And it just started off that whole Ben Elton through Blackadder through time, because then it was like the French Revolution, and then it was World War One, and everybody was speculating if there was another one, what one would you do? Would it be World War Two, which I don't think would work because World War One was so pertinent. I do think Blackadder Goes Forth is probably my favorite season, and it ended therefore on a real high.
I think it has. Yeah,
I think therefore it's like Star Trek a little bit in regards to Blackadder 1 and 3 being the weakest, and Blackadder 2 and 4 being the strongest. It was like every even number. But the Christmas special was quite unique.
Oh, the Scrooge one.
Yeah, but I do remember that it ended, didn't it, in the cinema? Where there was a big cinema ending for Blackadder, where you had to go to the cinema to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Millennium. That was it. It was a Millennium thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my remembrance of Blackadder, really.
I think another interesting thing was that the fact that the same cast moved into each series, and I think that was a good thing, didn't it?
Oh yeah, because you had Fry and Laurie, didn't you? Fry and Laurie became a big thing.
Yeah, it was a great way of doing it. I think people like that idea that the same cast continued. It is very good. Yeah.
So that's sort of like my remembrance of Blackadder.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But certainly that last episode is considered a great television moment.
And it
was discussed a lot.
The thing about it was that made me laugh about World War One is you knew it was all about the big push, right? And every single episode up until that very last episode was all about he kept making a joke about it. He kept saying, so it's all about bringing the drinks cabinet 1 foot forward for the, because that's he kept portraying it, didn't he? Say, oh, so we're doing the big push, all so that we can get 3 inches the drinks cabinet 3 inches further forward than we did last week.
Yes, yeah.
Right, and all of that sort of stuff, I do like that. I do like that thing about him trying to get out the trenches all the time, where he said, I'm going to do a painting.
Yes.
And it was all a ploy to see if we could get somebody to go into the no man's land to get aerial photographs by a painter so we could see what the Germans were up to. And and of course he did this picture, didn't he, of him carrying over a dead a dead Nazi or something, wasn't it? And he said,
Yeah.
how come you're in the picture then? He said, oh, it's a self-portrait and all of this sort of stuff. And he thought he was going to get out the trenches, but actually he was going to be actually in the middle of the bloody trenches.
Yeah.
Where all the landmines and everything.
I think they didn't need to do a World War II parody at Nazis, because I think it was enough just doing the Germans and the warfare up to that point.
This is the thing. I think
it could have become, because they've been so tempted, weren't they, we'd have had Hitler and these silly.
But this is the thing. I don't think it would have been even in their minds, because if you think about it, they did the Tudors. They didn't then say, "Oh, we'll do the Stuarts."
Yeah, no,
and all of this. I think the next one would have probably been something to do with the Windsors.
Oh yeah.
Because if you've done World War One, there's no point doing World War Two.
Yeah.
The Windsors make sense because it would have been kept in the royal bit type thing.
I don't think they would have felt like they could have done the Windsors because of the Queen.
No, and that's the thing. Yeah.
I think they just felt they wouldn't have done that. No, BBC probably wouldn't have agreed to it either. No.
So my opinion is that you wouldn't get World War II because World War One was so prominent.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it has nothing to do with Nazis. Somebody's put Nazis in World War One.
Yeah, the World War One is
what I was actually getting at is that the first one was historical royals. Second one was historical royals. The third one was historical royals. The fourth one was a war. You wouldn't want another war straight afterwards. You'd probably go back to the royal. Do you see what I mean? You've got to sort of separate them up a little bit.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And the third one wasn't really about the royals. It was all about all about the killing of the aristocrats. Really, wasn't it? It was the French Revolution, really.
They could perhaps have parodied the Duke of Windsor, Edward the Eighth, who had his short reign. He had to abdicate, didn't he? I mean, there's a lot of stuff they perhaps could.
Which is why I was saying, if you have Queen Elizabeth I, you can't go back in time and do Henry VIII. You've gone past it.
Yeah.
You only can move forwards, and that'd be the Stuarts.
Yeah. Because
that wouldn't make sense.
In terms of royalty, it was a massive scandal for the royal family, what happened there. And people were accusing him of being a Nazi sympathizer and all that sort of stuff. So there was a lot they could have played with, but it wouldn't have worked. I still don't think it would have worked, though. But he was the obvious one to parody.
I mean, you could parody the first king who abdicated. You could then, in the same season, parody the stammer of the second king.
Yeah,
and there's lots of things that you could do, but again, I just think to myself, really, it ended right. I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Right, let's do a few more of these. I love Steven Seagal back in the day. Wee Bob Hart says, the girl popping out of the cake. I don't know what is that.
Oh, in Siege 2.
Right. I'm not. Yeah. We'll have to get you both on a live stream to miss our movie chats.
Yeah.
I know he's mentioned you.
Josh, I'm a big fan of the way that you talk about films. It's so different to other people.
Yeah.
Which is why not only are you big friends with Pete, and it's great to have you when you're on with Pete, but I think you add a different slant to talking about films that that's less than the samey stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that is a bad way. It's just that I like there to be a bit of variety.
Yeah.
And you talk a little bit more like Barry Norman.
Yeah. Barry,
I'm very much in the mode of the norm, same, don't bring anything new to the table. And you, I think, bring something a little bit new to the table, if you see what I mean. So that's not me bigging you up. That's how I see it. I really do see it that way. You know?
I think if something works, you should stick with it. And that's a good thing.
I've got a question for everybody, by the way. While we're reading through these next set of questions, because I know that there aren't that many left, and we're only at sort of like 10:30. Can you think? And I'm just thinking of a question. Can you think of a film that you never thought you'd buy a really expensive edition of in your collection? And I'll show you my one, which is The Frighteners. I never thought I'd buy such an expensive, huge tome of a film.
How much was it?
Even if the film is very good.
How much was it? Go on.
That was it wasn't expensive. What I'm saying is, it's a film that is okay. It's a Robert, it's a good film, but I can think of no end of more deluxe films. That I'd buy, that you'd go, I think this was 70 quid, if I remember rightly. But look, it's got 6 discs in it.
Yeah.
It's got 3 versions, I think, of the Frighteners in this.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's a huge tome. I mean, it's a lovely.
If you love the Frighteners, that's the film for you. That's the edition to get. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, what film have you bought that is not critically acclaimed that you bought a big tome of it for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just intrigued to know, really.
Yeah.
So while we're going through the questions, people can start writing their answers, can't they? That's it.
We can buy Gentlemanly Warfare on Region A Blu-ray. All right, thank you, Stephen. All right.
I think actually, before we go past that, that's a very good tip. If you really want a Netflix film or an Apple film or a whatever film, I think you'll find you're more likely to find it in a Region A American edition. I think they're more likely to put it out than it is in Europe.
Yeah.
I don't see too many Europe films that are shown as a streaming film and then show up as a Blu-ray. Remember that film that I gave you called Slingshot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You can't get that in this country.
No.
It was a straight sort of like cinema and streaming service, and therefore, and I mean, we're still waiting, aren't we, at the moment for Waterloo?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of this stuff that we're not getting really releases of.
No.
Anyway, carry on.
Andy says, watched a trailer today for The Fetus. Looks like fun horror. Oh, right. That sounds good. I've not heard of that mentioned, but it sounds like we might hear a bit about it.
Fetus, bloody hell. Fetus. I don't think the title alone makes me think, will I like that?
Yeah.
But there you go.
Tony says, I did buy a Steven Seagal DVD double bill recently. Coincidentally, one of the films co-starred Pam Grier. Oh, suddenly I'm a big fan of that. Pam Grier.
All I know is that's going to end up in your bloody collection. That's all that matters to me, isn't it?
Yeah, a Steven Seagal film. Oh, dear.
All of a sudden, you've got your kickstarting of a Steven Seagal set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, here he is. Yeah, we mentioned about the heist film, Lavender Hill Mob. That's the one, yeah. I never use Google. I wouldn't know how. Yes.
What a lying bastard you are. I will say that right now. My ass don't know how to use Google.
Oh dear. Tony, comedy heist film, great. Saint Trinian's train robbery. Yeah, Saint Trinian.
Ealing. Well, again, it's Ealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ealing.
The Heist starring Gene Hackman and Danny DeVito is a good film. Thank you, Stephen, for that.
And I must admit, I don't think I've seen The Heist during when Gene Hackman was
because a lot of Gene Hackman films have been talked about, aren't they?
I watched so many Gene Hackman films, and you know what? I don't think I saw The Heist.
Oh, wow.
That's what I've got to add now, isn't it? Really?
Tony says, got the BF release of After the Fox. Only watched it quite recently. Forgot. Yes.
I'll tell you what, After the Fox, I first saw that on BBC Two.
Yeah.
You know when BBC One used to have not Match of the Day. They used to have Grandstand.
Yeah,
ITV would have World
Frank
of Sport.
Boff.
BBC Two would probably watch some films after the Fox was on. And I was in love with it from the very beginning because Peter Sellers was singing the title tune. After the Fox, I am the Fox. Who are you? I am me. Who are me? Me is a thief. You know, I just thought it was marvelous, right? And I asked my dad, and I said, "Dad, have you watched this film?" He said, "I've got the soundtrack of it over there." And he showed me it was an RCA soundtrack. And I was playing it then after watching the film over and over again. I just remember it. It's just one of those happy memories I've got. You
know. Stephen Moll says, there's only one Snow White movie in my eyes, and that's the animated movie. Nothing will ever beat that. I think I agree with you totally.
I think people of my age think that.
Yeah.
I must admit, I've never been a big fan of these live action ones. When they did Aladdin and they did, all of this sort of stuff, I was just thinking to myself, do I care that Will Smith is the genie when we've had Robin Williams voicing the perfect genie in the cartoon version?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never really saw it, but it makes sense from a Disney perspective when you consider that I don't think Disney now are considered an animation studio. So they just now make live action. So what they're doing really is going, how do we bring back our old catalog into live action?
Yes.
And I dread the day that they're going to do a live action Fantasia.
Yes.
Because the reason Fantasia worked for me was it introduced me to classical music with Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Seeing The Sorcerer's Apprentice was just such a wonderful piece of animation.
Yeah.
How is that going to look any good as a live action thing when we've seen all the special effects that we've seen in all the years? It's just not going to be a wow. Everybody looked at The Sorcerer's Apprentice and saw the waves coming up and hitting the rock and smashing into a surf. And in animation, it looked lovely. It was like, wow, look at how gorgeous that looks. Seeing broomsticks come to life and nothing these days. Christ, how many Harry Potter films are we seeing with bloody broomsticks in? It just makes no sense to me. Do you see what I mean?
I would have thought they would look at the easier ones to make. I don't know, another Peter Pan one or.
No, they've done Dumbo, haven't they? They've done.
I wouldn't have thought.
I think Spielberg's done the ultimate Pinocchio with.
I suppose they are quite limited, aren't they? I mean, and they've done a Jungle Book one as well, because I love the Jungle Book. But they've
done Jungle Book. They've done Lion King.
Yeah. So what is the point? Yeah, and that Lion King one wasn't very good because it was just, it was supposedly not animated, but they recreated the special effects animated ones, didn't they?
They sewed up all the animals' asses, didn't they?
Which was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Ah,
I mean, there's the
right.
Aristocats, there's Robin Hood, but
Yeah.
Robin Hood was a film in the first place.
Yeah. With the
I
animals,
mean,
it was
you
brilliant.
could do The Lady is a
Yeah.
Tramp, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
don't
they've done
know.
Beauty and the Beast, I presume.
I'm just not a big
Yeah.
fan, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Um, and Alan Fox says, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you buffoon. Laugh out loud. That's me, I'm the buffoon.
Oh, I was going
I
to say,
didn't know what
what did I say
TMT
now?
stood for.
What have I said now that's so wrong?
No,
Bloody
it's
hell.
me. It's aimed at me. I didn't know what TMNT stood for.
Oh,
I had no
TMNT.
idea. You know, my brain cells weren't working, which is not new. Charles Duncan says, hi, guys. A very good heist film. Payroll. Yeah, I've got that one. 1961. Sorry, Michael Craig and Billy Whitelaw. Set in Newcastle and the Northeast. Yeah, I've got that one. It is rather good. Yeah, brilliant. And Alan Fox says, just joking. It's all right. You can. I don't take offense. You can joke as much as you want.
Nobody is correcting anybody.
We all have a good laugh. You know.
I'll tell you what it is. I usually see what comments are made. Say, oh, you got the wrong opinion. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I meant
we don't. We don't take the people who take offense are just daft as brushes. Yeah. I was maybe 12 at that point, not too sure. What's this connected with Wee Bob Art? I don't know. Looking back at his, I don't know. I'm trying to work out what he's.
You have to work back on that.
Okay. I don't know. He says it was maybe 12 at that point, not too sure. Rosie and Jim, yeah, that's when I was on. And Jim chugging along on the old rag doll. I know. God, I had to watch these things, you know. Oh, God.
That children's show,
yeah,
it's up there with bloody Button Moon and Pigeon Street.
Yeah. And Tots TV as well, which were made by the same people.
Bollocks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you see, I've moved on. I mean, to me, children's TV was Finger Bobs and Bagpuss and all that, and Mr. Ben and Rhubarb and Ivor the Engine and The Worst Witch
for the kids at that time. This is what they are.
Spooky stuff was things like spooky stuff was Into the Labyrinth and The Ghost of Claymore Manor or whatever it was. No, the Canterville Ghost or something like that.
Yeah.
Children of the Stones. That was a fantastic one, you know? Rosie and Jim and Button Moon and all that. I was sort of like at work.
Yes. No, you've just reminded me. I'm sure I came across something about things that were coming out this year. And I think one of the streaming services is doing another Narnia thing.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. I hope that wasn't true because they didn't finish the films. Why they'd be going back again to Lion, Witch and Wardrobe, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all that somebody's going to have another go at it.
You know, even when it comes to the books, right? I used to love The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. I lost interest with Prince Caspian and you know, and all that. They were good books, but nothing surpassed The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
I like The Last Battle because it was very different. The Last Battle.
I was reading.
It revealed the thing about The Last Battle is it reveals a lot about C.S. Lewis and his philosophy because you realize that it's a Christian story, and we see it all. The Aslan is really, you know, Jesus, God figure. And right at the end, we see them all in heaven, and so The Last Battle gave all that away. It was like the last days, but
Thanks for telling me the end of that story, you bastard. You just made that bloody redundant.
Didn't you ever read the whole lot?
I'm joking, but you just got to remember there's people out there that haven't read one page in their life, let alone, you just knocked that out of the ballpark.
I think The Horse and the Boy was always good as well. I enjoyed them all. Voyage at Dawn Treader, the original.
It's just that when the third book of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe came out, I was already reading The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it seemed
now
like
I absolutely loved The Hobbit.
Yes,
that's the reason I love I'll tell you, there's two reasons why I love The Hobbit. First of all, it was not a thick book.
Yeah, that's true.
It was sort of manageable.
Yeah.
The second one was my love of computers. There was an adventure game.
Yeah.
Based on it. And then when Lord of the Rings came out, I was so intimidated just by the first book, let alone there's 3. You know what I mean? I was going, Jesus Christ, look at the size of this. Right? And I was so happy that things like Jackanory would cut these things down into like chunks that I could actually be bothered to listen to. I'd rather have Bernard Cribbins, right, recite it to me than me bloody trying to read the damn thing, right? But I missed the point. When I was a kiddie, I missed the point. Because if I had read it, I would have seen the love that, that Tolkien gave to his books in regards that he wrote a language. He wrote, he drew pictures of the land that you were crossing over, which Jackanory wouldn't portray probably very well. They did do pictures and stuff, but yeah, I was intimidated by.
You know what book I read, which was influenced by the TV series? I read War and Peace. There was War and Peace with Anthony Hopkins. He played one of the central characters on BBC. I think they have redone War and Peace again. And I watched it and I thought, I've got to read the original Tolstoy story. Massive, absolutely massive. It is a massive book. And you know what? I got into it and absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic story. And because I like the Napoleonic period. So it was all the background of the Napoleonic period.
So this is what I was trying. This is what I was trying to portray. Don't ever get intimidated by a set of books, because if you've seen the TV series Game of Thrones, right? And the books are incredibly big tomes, right? If you get through Lord of the Rings, then you can read those books, because they're not as intimidating as they actually look.
No.
So that's what I was. That was my that was going to be my anecdote. Don't be put off by the size and thickness of something.
It was strange with War and Peace. There was just one chapter where he went all philosophical, and it didn't work at all. And you're thinking, what has this got to do with story? But once you'd got past that chapter, it got straight into the story, and it was a wonderful story. About all the period of time with Napoleonic Wars, going right through Russia, and then coming out.
Don't you find it uncanny that War and Peace, right? Is that joke book?
Yes,
that everybody talks about by saying, "Oh my God, now you're going to come across a book
and you
that
do
you're
it
get to the end of, right?"
On your blog,
in my blog, I refer to it every week with Denny.
Yeah.
I say, "Oh, here we go. Look, War and Peace."
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Jesus Christ,
it
right?
is. Yeah, I suspect Lord of the Rings is longer than War and Peace.
I dare say
Lord
it
of the
is.
Rings might be longer.
I dare say it is.
You're not going to say, and now it's time for Lord of the Rings. It doesn't have the same ring, does it?
Yeah.
To it? Yeah.
War and Peace just seems so final, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It's like,
Yeah, it's got into popular culture. It's one of those sayings that people know. Yeah. Anyway, um, let's see. Tony says, "Evening, Charles. That is a favourite one of mine. Payroll, some good location filming. That's it. That's what makes it a good film. Seeing Newcastle. Yeah." Hero Totals in the UK because Ninja was too scary for the Brits. Laugh out loud. It's that censorship laws, wasn't it?
What it is, it's a long, convoluted story, but basically the
Yeah.
Turtles started off as a comic book, right? It was a black and white comic book at that, and it was an indie title. It was something that was sold in. It was something that was sold in universities in America or something. It got a following. Then they got a title for it to be made into a cartoon. And when it got over here, I don't know what it is. I think the story reads that the BBC didn't like Ninja.
Yeah, that's true.
So they changed it to Hero.
No. Yeah. It was a no.
And from that moment on, even the arcade game was called Hero, if I remember rightly. It was ridiculous because you got to remember in the 90s, everything was Ninja. There was The Last Ninja, there was American Ninja, there was BMX Ninja, there was everything had Ninja in the title, but you couldn't have a cartoon with the word Ninja in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Incredible.
And I think it was actually to do more with censorship by in cartoons, because when the cartoon of Spider-Man came out, right, it was purposely made that all the bad guys fired lasers, not bullets, because bullets would cause blood and lasers don't.
Yeah. You see,
and this is where they said that the Batman cartoon was more realistic because it was more 40s with Tommy gun.
I'm not sure, but I wonder if this was covered by that legislation, the Video Recordings Act, when you had to have them classified. I suspect that's when all this came in. Before that, they probably wouldn't have been any problem at all. They could have released those cartoons in their original form and with same names. But as soon as that Recording Act came in, then that was it, wasn't it? It censored a lot of things. It had to be. I think also one other thing about drug taking, you weren't allowed to show people putting needles into the body. There were loads of restrictions. It wasn't till 2000,
which then carried on into no smoking.
The smoking
TV and all sorts of stuff.
It's a bit hard to censor old films, isn't it? Or Thunderbirds. How do you censor Thunderbirds when they're all puffing away? Or UFO.
By the way, 20th Century Gaming probably won't stick around, but he's just put. I'll just read this out. He's put, "Evening. I love C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. There is a lamppost in Oxford that inspired the lamp in Narnia, and there is. I've been past it many times. And a tree in Oxford that inspired Treebeard. Yeah, there is. Treebeard.
That's good. That'd be good to see.
Because I live 22 miles from Oxford.
Yeah.
I passed those places.
Oh, right.
So I just wanted to read that out and say thanks very much, Jenny. Thanks very much. His name's Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you see a lot of good architecture. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh well, if you imagine Oxford is basically one big university campus.
Yeah,
split into three sort of like dorm type things.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I went to Cambridge, and I was amazed at all the architecture. It was absolutely an Oxford like that.
Yeah, you got. I'll tell you what. The one thing we mustn't start getting into. You're going to make me want to watch Porterhouse Blue, and I haven't got that. I have not got a copy of it anywhere here.
Oh,
and you're gonna. And I tell you what, you're going to make me miss wanting to watch it, and I can't watch it tonight because we're talking about bloody Like the
Oh,
universities and stuff.
yeah, Porterhouse Blue.
I'll have to watch Educating Rita just to get rid of
Oh,
my
that's good.
craving of something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, what? David Jason as the porter in Porterhouse
Oh,
Blue.
to live
Yeah.
and dream in Porterhouse.
But that business with the Johnnies is just so funny. It's incredible. They're
I'll
coming out
tell
of
you
the
what.
chimney.
There is one black and white film that made me cry as a kid, and that was Goodbye, Mr. Chips.
Oh right, yeah, it's another old
Another war one.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I remember rightly, Mr. Chips lost his wife, so he never had any kids.
Oh.
And he saw
Yeah.
all of his children go off to war in World War One and didn't come
Yeah.
back. And if I remember
Yeah.
rightly, his closing remarks is, "I did have lots of children." And what he was referring to was all the people that he taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he settled off to die, if you see what I mean. He sort of like died in his bed.
Yeah.
But Goodbye, Mr. Chips always makes me cry when black and white, the black and white version, you know. I mean, Jesus Christ. The Martin Clunes one's all right, but you know, it's not quite.
No. Stephen Moore says, I got Den of Thieves 2 Region A Blu-ray in the post today. Gonna watch it tomorrow. I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah.
And Charles Duncan says, "Hi Tony, great film. What was the film called starring Sting set in the Northeast?" There is Sting in a film where he's this sinister character. And it was from a play that the BBC banned. Do you remember this? BBC banned this play. Sting plays like a devil kind of character who gets involved with this disabled girl. She's a disabled
you mean Sting
girl.
as in the musician Sting?
Yeah. It was a controversial play. BBC banned it for some reason. Well, I think I can see there is a scene in it why it was banned. But he's like a sort of devil kind of fix who works his way into this family. This couple have got this disabled daughter. I'm sure somebody knows the title. I've got it on DVD. I can't think of the title of the film, but it's a very good film. But it has never had a Blu-ray release, as far as I know. Yeah, I'm sure somebody might know the name of the film. I've got it somewhere. It's in other room on DVD. So says, "Don't know, Charles. I remember him. Oh, here it is. No, there it is. Brimstone and Treacle. That was it. Not sure where it was set. Yeah, but I don't know whether it was Newcastle. I can't imagine. I don't know for certain if it was Newcastle. But that's the film. He's really good in it. He's sinister, really sinister. He plays it well as this character. Brilliant it is. I think, Tony, something called Monday starring Sting. Oh, I don't know that.
You lost
all
me
I know
all
is
now.
Quadrophenia. That one that I've said.
You've lost me all now with this Sting stuff.
Yeah. There isn't. It's bugging me, the title of that thing. I'll check it out later. Oh, right, anyhow. Just check, Charles. Stormy Monday, set in Newcastle. It's not one I've heard of before. Oh, I've not heard of that.
Hang on a minute, right? Just check, Charles. Just check what? Google? Yeah, that's where you checked. Don't give me none of this bullshit. I don't know how to use Google.
I'll let him have his rant.
I'm telling you now, lying bag of shit.
Yeah, well, you see, sometimes
he'll turn around and say, "No, I looked along my shelves." He'll say, "Oh, I looked in a book." You liar! If he's got a book, the book's called Google.
Yeah, it is on this one. I could go in there, but I'm being polite. I'm not going into other room, so I'm doing this. I could go in the other room, but I won't. I'll be good. Yeah. It's not. I'm not getting a very good news. What it says? What movies do you appear? I know he appeared in Quadrophenia. That's it, Quadrophenia. I know he's appeared in that, but it's the other film. It was Brimstone and Treacle. That's it. Yeah, Brimstone and Treacle.
Yeah.
Right. Tony Hawk, just check Charles Stormy Monday. Yes, at Newcastle. Yes, Tony, that's right. Mate, got it. Charles says. Basil Rathbone, the best for me always and it on TV. Yeah, they were shown a lot.
I've always turned around and said that Basil Rathbone will always be my.
I know you do, yeah.
You know.
22:16 now. We'll head to bed. It's late one for me. We'll watch on the replay. Thank you, anyhow, for joining
thank you,
us. Thank you. You'll be well gone now. Thank you, anyhow.
Only 45 minutes.
Yeah. One portrayal of Holmes not often mentioned is by Nicole Williamson in 7% Solution. He is depicted as a rather insecure figure addicted to cocaine, which is more like the books were, apparently. I've never read any of the books, but they always say about this cocaine addiction.
Shall I tell you what I watched literally 3 weeks ago? It was 3 weeks ago, and I never mentioned it to anybody. And not many people talk about it too much either. And that is Gene Wilder's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Younger Brother.
That's right,
which always makes me, always brings a smile to my face. And yet, when people talk about Gene Wilder, they don't really talk about that film too much. But if I remember rightly, he directed that one.
Oh, right. Yeah. I have seen that on TV. I saw it. I didn't see it at the cinema. But
when was the last time you saw it? I bet it was about 30 years ago.
Yeah, it would be. You're right. I mean, I don't watch TV now. I don't really watch TV. So
no, but you won't have it in. The thing is, you won't have it in your collection. You won't have seen it on streaming. You haven't got it on your shelves.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it on TV because you don't watch TV.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's one of those films that a lot of people don't have it in their collection.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and yet they will say, "Oh yeah, I've got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I've got Young Frankenstein. I've got
not that one. Yeah.
Silver Streak.
Yeah.
I've got See No Evil, Hear No Evil."
Yeah.
What happened to all of these other films that Blazing Saddles? They'll all mention all of those, but they won't mention The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes' Smarter Younger Brother. And yet, it's a good film.
Yeah.
Good film.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of Mel. It's got a lot of Mel Brooks in it.
Yeah.
I think
that's all right. Yeah. Wee Bob says, "Have a good week, all." Yeah, thank you so much. And he said, "Night, Bob." Night, Bob. Charles says, "Steve Moles, Murder by Decree." It's a good Sherlock Holmes movie starring Christopher Plummer as Sherlock Holmes and James Mason as Watson. Yeah, of course, I've got that one. Yeah. I wonder why I've got that one.
Wasn't Tom Baker's first major drama for the BBC after Doctor Who was a Sherlock Holmes? He did. It wasn't the first thing he did. I'm just saying, wasn't it his first period drama thing?
Yeah.
It wasn't the Adventures of a She-Woman and all of that sort of stuff. It was a period drama.
Yeah.
Pretty sure of it.
But
Anyway.
James
Christopher Plummer as
James Mason, fantastic as always. Tony says, "Yes, Stephen, I like those when he's trying to catch Jack the Ripper." Yeah, there's also A Study in Terror 1965 with John Neville as Holmes and Barbara Windsor as a Ripper victim. Oh, amazing. Yeah. I agree, Andy. Basil Rathbone, best Holmes, Charles says. Stephen Moles, I like Young Sherlock Holmes as well. Not a bad movie, which we've just had Delboy talking about. Steve's Gaming. Before they had synchronized firing through the propeller in World War One, a friend pilot called Roland Garros put metal. Sorry, that'll be a French pilot called Roland Garros. Put metal plates on his prop for the bullets to bounce off when they hit. How brave was that?
He knows his stuff,
yeah.
Steve, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I know. I say it was a major thing, this about the bullets being able to fire through the propellers. Anybody like Peter Cushing doing Holmes? Me. I love Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong. He can play Peter Cushing all day. He did on the TV.
Just mention Peter Cushing and I'm watching it.
Yeah. He did on the BBC do a version as well of Sherlock Holmes. And he's got French there, like we said. Yeah. Tony says, I've heard that name, Roland Garros, before. Never knew he was an early pilot. Yeah. Tony says, never seen the TV Holmes that Cushing did, Charles, but enjoyed him in Hound of the Baskervilles, a Hammer film. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
absolutely love Hound of the Baskervilles. But yeah, he did. I've never seen, I don't think I have, of his portrayal of Holmes on the TV. I'd love to see that, actually. Without without a clue, 1988, starring Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley, is a good Sherlock Holmes movie. Oh, another one without a clue. Michael Caine involved again.
I bought that. I bought that on VHS and haven't bought that on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K.
Yeah,
if there is even a 4K of it. It's one of those ones that I really liked as well.
Yeah. Oh, good, fantastic. It was a small series that Peter did, Tony. Found it a little slow. All right, that's the one he was talking about. There's a 1984 film in which he portrays Home 2, The Masks of Death, with John Mills as Watson. That'd be interesting, but never seen it. Seems to be hard to get hold of. And for 1984 as well. Oh, brilliant. No Nazis in World War One, Delboy. I was waiting. I heard him say that. I nearly said something, but I didn't. I thought I've been kind.
I didn't mean it like that.
I know.
I said I don't think Nazi Germany World War II would work.
Yeah. Sai says Jeremy Brett's version of Sherlock Holmes is my personal favorite. That's the word. Jeremy Brett, the ITV series was so good. As I said, I think they covered every story of Sherlock Holmes. They had like a whole archive of it, but I've never watched it.
It was the father of my girlfriend in Manchester that turned around and said, "What do you think is the most profitable thing ITV have ever done?" And I said, "I don't know, Coronation Street." I said, "They've got the tour of Coronation Street." He said, "Try the tour of Sherlock Holmes." ITV. I tell you now, that makes more money than Coronation Street ever will.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it because I was going, I watched it and I didn't think much to it.
But they could probably sell it abroad and it'd probably do well. I bet America would have liked it. They probably could make a lot of money out of it. Yeah. Sounds interesting, Tony. I'll look out for that. And then Alan Fox, Blackadder was so great, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
Well, my reminiscence of Blackadder was all right.
Yeah, I know. We talked quite a lot about it because it was such a good series. Who had a funny part hairstyle back in the day, like Sean Ryder from Happy Mondays? Oh no!
No, with the hair that went that way.
The one they couldn't put him on TV, as I've said, because he was swearing so much at every sentence. Through Lens, I never thought I would buy the Three Colours trilogy on 4K on £80 set, but it's worth every penny. It's a series I want to see. Everybody talks about the Three Colours trilogy.
Josh and I bought that the same week.
Yeah, I must watch it. I think it's one that's so highly acclaimed. It's had a lot.
It is. It's we both agreed that it's one of those films that a lot of people are intimidated against watching it again. Because you've got the blue, the white, the red, and the last one sort of ties it all up.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because you're following a sort of like a relationship in each of the films.
Oh right, yeah,
and it ties it all up at the end.
Yeah.
It's a great thing, but a lot of people are put off by it, and I don't know if it's because people think it's up its own arse, or whether they think it's too.
They think it's a bit pretentious, kind of.
Well, yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I think I'm going to miss the point because it's going to be snooty and
it's
going to be highbrow. Highbrow is the word I was looking for. You know?
Yeah.
I like it. I've
heard a lot of people really do like it. Yeah. It's always mentioned. Steve's Gaming Dell DVD. I thought I'd never buy the complete Bionic Woman box set. I think it's utter crap, but bought it for the wife for Xmas. And my God, was it expensive?
Do you know what? There's a story behind that.
Yeah.
Denny bought the Bionic Man Blu-ray, which was 150 quid. And he bought the Bionic Woman, which was 110, if I remember rightly, because it was the Bionic Woman was only 2 or 3 seasons, something like that. And I said to him, I went over to Amazon Germany and you could buy the Bionic Woman for like 50 quid. What's the difference between the two? He said it was because it included the movies. And I said, I can't find out whether the German one has got the movies in it or not. But I tell you what, I'd rather buy the 3 bloody movies separately than fork out 110 bloody quid for the Bionic Woman. Even the Bionic Man actually was just over £100 in German money, where it was 150 quid in this country. And we both turned around and agreed and said, why is there such a price difference when it's the same transfers?
Yeah.
But it was redundant really, because then I went and forked out for the Wurzel Gummidge Blu-ray box sets, which came to 100 and something quid. So I couldn't turn around and say you stupid bastard spending all that money on it when I forked out 110 quid for bloody Wurzel Gummidge. I mean, who in their right mind does that? So
I look at it like this: if somebody's got the money and they want to pay that, then good luck to them. If you got the money and you want it.
Since then, people have seen me bought Frasier on Blu-ray. They see me buy Columbo and Columbo.
Now that
and the Columbo box sets.
That Columbo, wow! What can you say? Yeah.
So I can't say anything, can I? When those are 100.
I think if you got the money, if I had the money, I would probably buy some of these.
Columbo's ace. I'll tell you what, the Columbo box set, I've watched it all the way through now. Absolutely ace.
Yeah. If I had something like that, I'd be making sure I watched one a day. Definitely. Definitely would. You'd go out of your way, or even to watch more. You would definitely
have done that, shouldn't I? I should have done a review of each one, shouldn't I, as I was watching it?
Yeah. But you would definitely.
The worst thing about it is you spend all that money on it and you realise how flimsy the boxes are.
Terrible. It was one of them. Oh,
yeah. Terrible boxes, really.
Yeah. When you pay a lot of money, you expect something better sometimes.
Well, just think how flimsy the boxes will be for Cheers, which is 11 seasons.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I saw how flimsy the bloody
suppose
was.
They might argue that if they had a better box set, it would cost more money. I bet they would be saying.
Yeah, I turned around and said, "You cheap bastards! You converted all of these to high definition for the streaming services,
and then
all you've done is put them on a disc. You've done is put them on a disc, and you're charging 100 and something odd pounds.
Yeah."
And you're telling me that you can't fork out the 29 pence per cost it would be for each of the plastic bloody wallets it goes into. You lying bag of shits.
Yeah.
It's maximum profits for little outlay. It's those
that's what they're doing.
boxes.
That's exactly what they're doing. They should have more respect for collectors, because obviously the people who are going to buy these box sets are going to be collectors. They're not going to be just ordinary people, are they? Just collect.
It's why sometimes I think there's a bit. I think there's a bit more respect in the film than there is the TV industry, because at the end of the day, I mean, I've got the Mad Max steel books, which are in a steel case, the Superman films that are in a steel book in a steel case. You know, in the future, we're going to have the Nightmare on Elm Streets in a steel book with a steel case. You've got already the Harry Potter films, all of them in a steel, bloody great big outer shell with all steel enclosures. And yet you won't find that in TV. It'll be all cheap eco boxes with cardboard bloody outers that rip. And
the thing is, I'd love to have loads more TV series, but you can't get hold of them. They have a very short life.
Game of Thrones is in a deluxe case. Deluxe, you know.
But I mean, old ones that I really like, as I mentioned with the Highlander. You know, I absolutely love the Highlander, but you can't get that properly. You know, it's sad. They only do so many, and that's it. And some don't get even any upgrade. They'll never get an upgrade. They're just on DVD and are rare on DVD. I don't know why TV series are looked down upon a bit more than films.
I don't know.
It's sad.
I suppose we better move on, because we could talk about it for the next bloody hour.
Sorry. Simos, I tried to grow my hair, but I've got a ginger afro, so short all day long for me. All right. Simos Robson there. Tony says, don't have many big box sets. When I first got a 4K player, I got a 4K of Escape from LA, not considered a good follow-up to New York. Yeah, it's not, is it, that one?
I tell you, Tony, I went over to Los Angeles, right, on the weekend that was a premiere. Escape from LA. I'll tell you what, it was the most disappointing film I've ever seen in my life when I saw that. I've given it I've got a little bit more respect for it now, but it's still nowhere near Escape from New York. I was so disappointed when I saw that. I went over to LA, I saw it premiered, and it was awful.
Oh well. Paulus the Wood Gnome was a good spitting image of Ian. Well, thank you. I'm quite flattered. Thank you. I don't mind being that. Yeah, I'm a wood gnome. I just Googled that, Charles, which I still aren't good at. Del is having to go at Del there. You're right. Uncanny resemblance. Well, thank you.
Yeah, because he said, look, he's got. I just Googled it, and he said he doesn't Google. Lying bag of shit.
Yes, Tony. Ian reminds me of Palace a lot. Yeah, thank you. 20th Century Gaming. Evening. I love C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. There is a lamppost in Oxford. This is what I know I'm reading it out again. That inspired the lamp in Narnia, and a tree in Oxford that inspired Treebeard. Fantastic. I love that. Yeah. And then we've got more. I went to the Tolkien Museum and saw his robe and original writing of In a Hole There Lived a Hobbit. His drawings were on show too. Yeah, the drawings are amazing, aren't they?
Like I said,
if
you get intimidated by a book, you miss the majesty in what can be inside that book. And part of the magic of Tolkien was
the world he goes in. Even the notes are brilliant. I don't know. I was looking at something in week on internet. and it showed you Tolkien and the notes that he put in, the detail, even more detail about the stories and getting deeper into the characters. What
Well,
amazing!
Christopher Lee knew Tolkien quite well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, is
Yeah.
that right? Is that right? I think he did, didn't he? He knew Ian Fleming well.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know about Tolkien, but you may be right. Yeah, maybe right. I know it. I felt sorry for Christopher Lee because he was in the film, and didn't he get cut a lot on theatrical version? He was absolutely fuming.
I think he's a lot. He's recut back in the extended ones a lot.
Yeah, he is. He's definitely. I've got the extended one. I've only watched the extended one because I thought, well, I'm not going to bother with theatrical one. I might as well watch what the intended. But I don't blame him.
I think a lot of people find it difficult actually thinking back about what the theatrical ones look like because everybody's watched the extended ones.
Yeah, I think you've got to. What's the point in watching a theatrical one that you know is not the intended cut? So Tony says, "Thank goodness for the rant. I was suffering withdrawal symptoms." There you are. we had the rant, didn't we?
My pleasure, Tony. If I can help you anymore, you bastard.
20th Century Gaming. One of the best screenplays I've seen is Safe with Kate Hardy and Robbie Carlyle. Gritty and accurate for living on the streets. Oh wow, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Sherlock Holmes must be
if you know Mark quite well, he's quite familiar with the plight of people that live on the streets. You know.
Oh right. Andy says Sherlock Holmes must be the most cast character in the history of film and TV, as well as Dr. Watson. He's probably got a point there. It probably is. There's been so many of Sherlock Holmes.
Well, yeah, let's think about it. I mean, Tarzan could have been, but it's not anymore.
Yeah.
That's been surpassed.
I mean,
yeah,
Sherlock
I would probably
Holmes
say
is still
Sherlock
going,
Holmes.
isn't it? Really, they can make Sherlock Holmes films all the time. They will.
Yeah.
Will continue, and they're just timeless characters. They are. They really are. Right. Tony says, just seen Michael Caine in The Island, 1980. Crazy film, but good fun. Think it was another paycheck film for Caine, probably.
It was.
Yeah, he did a lot of those.
I was about to say.
I liked his honesty. He admitted it.
Yeah. I like what it said there. It says, just see Michael Caine in The Island. And I was turning around and saying, oh, yeah, what was it? Spain? What was it? Rock of Gibraltar? What was it? Where are you flying out to, Tony? Are you going to go out and meet him? What's all that
about? Charles Duncan says, Del, I got Wurzel Gummidge full series on Price Drop TV for £10. Good days. Wow, that's it.
That I bought that as a UK Blu-ray. Then I bought then I was going to buy the Australian one when they announced that they were going to put the UK and the Australian one together in a box set. And I remember I bought then the box set and gave away my UK one. Gave away my UK one. Yeah.
Right. And we're on the last comment. Yes, we've got here. And it is Andy. McStar's Escape from LA was a massive letdown when it came out, I remember. Yeah, that's what everybody said about it. And thank you, everyone that has made a comment and is watching. There's 12 people still watching now. Thank you, everyone that has watched there. Sorry, I'm sorry, Delboy, I normally do this, but if you haven't I know it's still 12 people here. If you haven't subscribed to Delboy's channel, please subscribe. His details are in the description, so please go over and subscribe to his channel. I'm sorry, we've been so distracted today. And next week,
not at all.
We're on episode 50. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I've got a question as
week.
a sort of a homework thing for next week. James Bond and the music to James Bond, I've said it before, is very synonymous with each other. I don't think James Bond has been ever as successful as when the music and the visuals marry up. Has any of you out there considered, when you first started off your collections, that when you were going to buy the film, you were also going to buy the soundtrack as well and have them paired up? Did you ever, when you started off your collections, ever think that that might be something that you might do, and then you decided not to? I just want to know.
Yeah, well,
So
we'll find out next week.
So we'll find out next week.
We'll find out, and I know we'll talk about the soundtracks next week quite a bit, because I know not next to nothing. And we've got Tony saying good night. Thank you, Tony, as well, for being a moderator. Thank you so much. Sai, I've just Googled which character has been portrayed the most, and it's Sherlock Holmes, cast over 70 times in over 200 movies and shows. Well, there you are.
Just think how many times. Just think how many times he's probably appeared in a stage production.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. 99 guys, says Sai, and then Andy says 70 times. That's insane with Sherlock. James Bond music is James Bond, yes. And Charles says, night, guys. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much, as usual, for supporting us and being here. We love it. And we'll be here, say, next week for our James Bond special, and then back to what we normally do. We're sat in the pub. That's it. Talking James Bond. So, and your usual farewell.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's good night from him.
Good night. No, salute, is what I usually say. So there you go.
And all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.